It's called Smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut.
I've been too happy to think of a podcast, though.
Oh,
I'm usually in
I'm
a
happy
deep
that you're
pit of depression when I'm like, what would be good to talk about? Or just random shit pops in my head.
I'm trying to think of one too.
I used up all my brain power on the game I'm gonna play today.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
So, and I don't want to, but I want to ask you a question, but I don't want to give it away. Also, you don't know anything about what we're talking about yet.
I have no idea really what Omegaverse is other than what you've told me in other episodes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we've kind of teasing it since the beginning.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned it in the intro episode.
Yeah.
And then we're like, this is kind of what it is, but let's not get into it because there's a lot. Mm-hmm. And then we've just keep coming back to it because it is so much.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah.
Last episode of Omegaverse. What is something that you over these past 8 episodes we never got to, but honorable mentions of things that we could have done? Do you have any that come to mind?
Oh, I had a thought the other day where I was like, oh, we could have done that and that would have been really fun. I felt like video games is one that I was like, oh, that would have been fun if I'd thought about that sooner. Mm-hmm. And then also I think this one would have been harder, I think, especially for you. For fanfic, it makes more sense, but I was thinking sexual awakenings of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know how that would work for the KU universe.
I would have picked a brother's best friend.
Yeah.
Or somebody who you had a crush on, or a second chance romance. Somebody you had a crush on when you were a teenager, and now it's 10 years later, and you're back in your small hometown because the snowstorm hit, and he's a mechanic. Oh.
All right, great, got it.
So I would have gotten that.
For video games, I almost picked. I didn't, but
we didn't do video games.
No, but the fic that I almost went with for this one was a Borderlands 2 fic. So we're Borderlands 2 and 2.5 fic. So that could have been good. I could have done quite a few video game pairings actually.
There's so much shit out there now. I'm somehow on the Kindle. I'm on the BookTok. In the algorithms, I'm now in this one girl who reads stuff that the people in the comments tell her to, and it's oh, fucked by Bigfoot. Okay,
sure.
I guess I have to read this now. And there's one. Did you just spit a little? Sorry. There's one about Shrek. I got 3 people sent me the one about Shrek.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, this should be something I read for the podcast one day.
Somebody sent that to me.
So I'm sure there's some sort of video game.
Jacob
yes,
sent me that.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, a meme one.
I can't pronounce it. Yothment.
Yes.
I could see it, but I didn't want to pronounce it wrong.
Whose wife, Andrea, helped actually start this podcast.
She did.
She was one of our beta testers of bouncing ideas off, and shout out to Andrea.
Speaking of TikTok, I've fallen deep down the welcome home not video game. It's but yeah, it's a, have you seen any of these? Or any of these, or am I on a specific rabbit hole?
I need you to explain it more because I don't know what it is.
Welcome home?
So it is a specific kind of, it's not a video game, but it is a game, kind of like a mystery. And the way that it's set up is it's like the Muppets or Sesame Street. The whole premise.
I'm in.
The whole premise is that it is a children's show, puppet show, that everyone just forgot about. And this website is oh, remember this? Here are the old toys from the 90s of this toy. Here are what the cartoons look like. But if you look deeper, there's hidden messages and there's some kind of demonic something going on.
Just an interactive puzzle experience?
Yeah, there's a specific name for this kind of game. And I was reading about it earlier today and I can't think of it.
Clue.
But the idea is that
Big Bird with the wrench in the alley.
In the alleyway. But yeah, it's entirely user driven, and you just kind of you fuck around and look at, people are looking in the code of the website for clues.
That's awesome.
It's really, really cool, and I keep getting these really creepy puppet animations, and it's just some dude at 3 a.m. I found a new thing. I'm just really interested to see where it goes. I just love creativity.
I think that's really cool.
It's very. I'll send you guys some TikToks.
Creepy stuff too. I also can I just really quickly before we start. Do you know what thalassophobia is?
No.
Yeah, fear of the deep ocean.
Yes. So I think I have that.
Oh, I have that.
Because
100%.
I got, and I think it's from a what's this, a VR
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of these.
The headset.
Yeah, it's a VR game, and you're a diver with the flippers, and you're like looking around, and there are these humongous statues under the water, and the other diver is like close to the statue.
Oh, yes.
And you look at this one, and then you look at this one, and then you turn back and you look at the first one, but then like it starts to move a little, and then you look down, and it's like coming up at you, and
I got that one.
I
Yeah.
yelled and threw my phone.
It's cause it's not
So
a
scary.
It's not a VR game. It's just there's people on TikTok
Who make that?
Yeah, they specialize in doing kind of like creepy, otherworldly animations that look super real. Like I saw one where it was
It looked real. Yeah.
I saw one where you're like in a helicopter and a kraken like comes up and is destroying a ship, or no, a shark, just a giant shark.
Oh, I do kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued by them. There's another one still underwater with a different statue, and then he looks back and it's half gone.
Oh, yeah, I
And
see that one.
Oh, I don't. It's and then somehow I got on Thalassophobia TikTok and I freaked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm never going into an ocean again unless I can touch the
Oh, actually,
fucking
Will,
ground.
do you have TikTok yet?
I don't have TikTok yet. I sure do not.
Will,
You
do you
don't
have
need to.
Thalassophobia yet?
I know because I'm staying off of deep water TikTok.
I wish you well.
Yeah, that doesn't start with TikTok for me. I've always been afraid. If I
Yeah.
can't, if something might be underneath me and touching my feet without me knowing, I have a problem with it.
Oh, I freaked out in lakes because they're, like seaweed, lake
Oh, yeah.
weed grows. And I'd be like, when I was little, my friend had a lake house kind of by Lake Geneva, and we'd go swimming, and I was like, it's an octopus. And everyone's like, it's a fucking lake, Emily. And I was like, I'm like 12. They're like, you should know that there's not
but
an
it's
octopus.
still it is
Right.
still one of the creepiest things though when you're swimming and all of a sudden something touches
Yeah.
the bottom of your foot. Like
like,
it's
like
usually
a grindy low.
Yeah, it's usually a plant of some kind, but it still sucks and makes me freak out.
Speaking of freaking out,
Welcome to Fence Reading Filth. I'm Jess.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Will. Wow, y'all
ooh,
stuck
was
that
fucking
landing.
tight.
That was.
We
I'm
locked it up.
impressed.
That
we
was
did
tight.
it.
I
We've
loved
been doing
it.
this a minute,
We have.
so it's wonderful every
Yes.
single time.
I sobered up when you said that. We have.
Yeah, coming on almost to the end of season 2.
As we drink.
Look, you're either gonna cry about it or drink about it.
Well, and we'll do the finale
Volcano
with,
Dose.
with games and things. But yeah, this is our last
Official.
trope-centric episode.
yeah.
And Will has picked a doozy for us, something that we've been teasing for a long time.
That
so
I'm so
Look,
excited
I was
about.
tired of the edging of this trope.
Much like the Amish trope. We had to fucking go for it. We had to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah,
Right,
It's
exactly.
time to take the plunge.
It's been so lovely having you here with us.
Oh, thank you. I've had a blast.
You're
It's
a
been
good guest.
it's been a joy.
And
thank
we've
you.
really gone through a journey of like really long like sessions together, and just like, and you were a trooper, and I'm just really proud of you. And I'm
I
proud
mean,
of us.
I it's my fault because I've made so many dumb bits throughout all of these.
And I kept them all in because they're so good.
They're great.
I love your bits.
So, Will, what, if anything, do you know about the Omegaverse?
Well, it kind of sounds like it's a little bit spun on or similar to, I don't know if it comes from, but it sounds similar to the kind of werewolf business that happens in Twilight, and that there is you imprint, and they're alpha wolves that they have their perfect soulmate partner match.
Yes, so you had it right in that a lot of the origins do come from werewolf fics and that
Got
sort
it.
of thing. Anything else? Because I'm about to like launch into a whole thing.
That is about all I know. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so I first learned about the Omegaverse, and I found it because I started seeing it pop up all of a sudden in fics, like particularly smut fics, and there are a lot of terms, there are a lot of rules that the first one of these that you read, it's a little jarring if you don't know what you're looking at, and that was very much the case when it started popping up, like probably, I would say I started seeing it in fanfic like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and somebody published something that I have added to our link tree called Alphas, Betas, Omegas, a Primer.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah, so for a while, because it tagged the 4 most popular fandoms that it was in. So if you went to Supernatural, Sherlock, Harry Potter, and there was one other, and you looked for their most popular fic, this was it for a little while because everyone was like, what the fuck is this thing that I keep seeing? And the author basically wrote a breakdown of this is what the Omegaverse is. Here's a brief history of it. Here are some like vocabulary terms that you need to know. Yeah. So that's how I like first figured it out. And then I feel like as many things fandom, like once it was established, people started branching out and doing different spins on it. And now it's kind of a just accepted, known thing that will pop up that people are just like, oh yeah, Omegaverse, cool. I understand the basics of this.
And if we can find it, there's a girl on TikTok, which is how I first learned of it. Because Jessica showed me this TikTok where this girl keeps getting, like she knows what it is. she's not like the person that made it. Right? No. Okay, just to make sure.
But she's been in fandom for a long fucking time.
And people in the comments will be like, can you explain what this term means? And she just keeps getting more and more exasperated because she has a whiteboard and she goes, okay. She's like, you really want to know what this means? Like, it'll be about like nodding, which will tell you what that is. And she's like, all right. So I guess I'll try and draw it for you. And it's really funny. And if we can find that, we should put some sort of link or her
she's amazing.
Name. Yeah,
she's a wonderful
fantastic.
person. And I followed her since then. I cannot remember her username, but we can add her to the link tree as well
because she's wonderful.
She's wonderful. So Omegaverse, it's borrowed. A lot of the terms are borrowed from now outdated research about wolves, as you already clocked. Right. And it's basically like a big part of it is the animalistic elements of that. And it's really come from the wolf thing, but then there's also other elements of fandom that kind of relate to it. So one of the earlier things, it's not called Omegaverse, but if you look at Pon farr, which is a Star Trek thing, Vulcans go through a mating ritual every 7 years, where if they don't, they go crazy. And that is a big thing that was borrowed for the Omegaverse as well. So it's kind of a amalgamation of a lot of things that came together. And it started... There used to be these things, I think they probably still exist, but they were much more popular when there wasn't a super centralized fanfic area. There was like fanfiction.net, but then there was live journals and different like Tumblr blogs, and like there were a lot of places, there were like message boards and things where fanfic was being posted. And if you were really into a fandom and you were really into the sexy part of a fandom, there would be a thing called a kink meme, which was basically it was usually on LiveJournal, and it was made specifically so people could post, I want to see this pairing doing this. And writers would be like, I got this, and then write something based on it. So it was kind of like a prompt board for this. And I was active on a couple of them in the early days because they were really fun, because people would really get into it, and you would have like novel length fics, and you would also have a couple of paragraphs, but it was always really interesting. And this started on a Supernatural RPF, Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, pairing kink meme.
Wow.
Yes. And so someone prompted like, okay, what if they're werewolves, and what if what if it's like one's an alpha and one's an omega and they need to do this, and someone wrote a fic about it, and then that just blew up in the Supernatural fandom and then kind of spread out into all the other fandoms.
Amazing.
So it's one of those cool things that it just kind of extends from there. So I'm going to do something similar to what we did in the intro episode. I'm going to throw out terms, and I want Will to tell me what you think this is. So alphas. What do you think alphas are?
They're the leaders. They're the chads. They're pretty fucking sick, dude. They run the group. Nobody challenges them unless they're trying to step to the alpha. Which, if you do that, you better come prepared, bro.
I love your characterization of a bro, when usually they're rugged and mysterious and brooding and whatever.
I'm sorry. Anytime anybody that uses the term like alpha or
beta.
Yeah.
In real life, alpha would
be
be the worst thing anyone could ever call themselves.
Right.
Like the biggest red flag.
In book world,
not as much.
Not always. There's some, but not
and
always.
with the Omegaverse, that's actually important. Is with the Omegaverse, the whole premise is that this is a like a hierarchical biological thing that exists for everyone. So it's not some douchebag being like, I'm an alpha. It is like
everybody is
everyone
an
knows.
alpha.
Everyone is one of them.
So
and
they know.
So, yeah, so they know who they are. And it's not this kind of posturing, I'm better than you thing. It refers to an actual biological thing that someone
Right,
has.
because nobody postures about biological
No,
things.
never. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I was gonna say something.
But I guess what I'm saying is it's in the world of the story that you're reading, it's normalized.
Sure,
It's
absolutely.
not a giant red flag like it would be in our world. So
More similar to someone being like, yeah, I'm a dog person, than them being like, yeah, I'm basically like hot shit.
huge alpha.
I just get so much pussy all the time.
Go get me a glass of water. You know I'm worth it. Just like
Beta
something.
cuck.
Gross.
Oy vey.
Actually, so what's a beta in this world?
Cook, no. In this world, they're a little bit more submissive. They are followers more than leaders. They support the alpha. They are the moon to the alpha sun. They are the yin to their yang, you know? The night to the day.
Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much right. But yeah, a beta is subordinate to the alpha. The important thing with this is they're kind of the ones that are normal of the three. Alphas and omegas have kind of a more biological mating thing, which is what most of these are focused on.
Got it.
Betas are like the normal dude a lot of the time.
They're like the not special.
They're like the
Got it.
best
Okay,
friend who's
cool,
like,
cool.
that sucks. And then they're just living their lives. But they're
Great,
definitely in fics and in stories where there is a more strict hierarchical system in the society that someone's built. The betas are kind of like directly underneath the alphas.
God, but they're above the omegas.
Yeah.
What are
Tell
the
me about
omegas then?
tell me
Well,
about
I mean,
omegas.
They're the worst of the worst. They're scum. They don't play by the rules. They don't follow the hierarchy. They're anarchists, and they forge their own trail. I'm
Not
like,
at all.
I'm
No,
Not at all.
This is
okay,
not true.
great, cool.
So the omegas are the most subordinate. They're like bottom of the totem pole, and they're the ones that are kind of most fucked over by their biology.
Oh, they're the cucks.
They're the ones that have like the need to mate. They go into heat, and they mate usually with alphas, and that is like that is a lot of the time in the world the thing that subordinates them is people kind of look down on them, and they'll try to a lot of the time hide their status because it is not fun to
Sure.
have a moment once every month where you are kind of powerless to your
Yeah.
own body. There is a lot of female biology coding.
Sure,
There's a lot
They're,
of,
they're
Yeah,
more
yeah.
easy to quote unquote control.
there's
like,
a lot of there's a lot of stuff with like getting a once a month curse that fucks up your life.
Sure.
We
And
can't relate
society
at
looking
all.
down on that with omegas. But then there's also stories where omegas are kind of, it's more of like they're the leaders of the society because they have the reproductive power. That's another thing in the Omegaverse.
the queen bee type of thing.
Is that the
Okay.
omegas are supposed to be like super fertile when they're in heat and they mate with an alpha, and then a lot of the time it's like betas can't have kids at all. Betas are like sterile.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if this
Betas
is
are the NPCs. Of these
Yes,
stories.
yes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I don't know if this
Almost
is like
always.
true to like just all research, but like you were saying before about betas, you're like the moon to their stars. I'd say that's more the omega, like
Yeah.
because an alpha and omega can mate, and like once that happens, that's like you're my forever. You're my
They're the
fated
ones
mate.
that
Right.
have that pair bond. And I've seen some fics that call that the term beta is used for an omega equivalent, and omegas just don't exist. Like they kind of cut out the middleman. But there's
Right.
always, it's definitely a big element of this is like these two people come together and they're together forever. Whether that's like a fated mate situation, or there's also a thing where in this universe where and it's up to the author what they do, but it's like, oh, they saw their heat through together and so now they're bonded. So some authors will do it that way. Some will be like, no, like there's a one person, and once you smell them or whatever,
That's it, yeah.
that's it. It locks into place and you're stuck with that person. So you kind of see a variation between those.
Fine.
But that is a big part of it is pheromones.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So that is, I won't even use that because I know you know what pheromones are.
Smelled his musk.
Yeah. But
and
that's
I knew we
Ba-
were to be mated.
basically.
I did wear my pheromone cologne today.
Oh, really?
Just so you guys know.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing where it's like, oh, I usually the way that I've read it is it's an enemies to lovers type thing, and the person's like, why does this person smell so good? I don't know what this means. They know what it means.
Yeah.
And then the other person's like, fuck, you smell really good too. Oh no. And then they're like just drawn to each other and etc.
And smell is a powerful scent.
So there are 5 major signs of an Omegaverse fic. The first one is, and this is with a specific type of pairing, but the first one is called mpreg. Will, what does mpreg mean?
Okay, mpreg is imprinting when someone is pregnant. So that's I see you in the womb, and that fetus is gonna be mine.
Well,
one day.
It's so creepy, but yeah, I mean,
M-preg.
Oh,
Not E-M, the letter M and then preg.
well, never mind then. That's definitely not what I think that
Well,
is.
I didn't
Now
know
that-
if you said
no,
it.
No, no,
You said it like something
yeah,
else.
No,
I wasn't make sure.
yeah, exactly. I misunderstood.
Not
Thank you,
embryo.
Emilio. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, the spelling matters.
No,
do you have
you're
another
right.
guess?
You're right. So now I have my actual guess. Now that I know that it's the letter M, preg. Clearly, that guess before was for a different spelling.
you're doing so good buying time.
Mpreg is obviously for when the moon makes somebody pregnant.
Okay, so it wasn't me. It's just the way you say M. It sounds
Yeah.
like M. So I thought you were saying E-M preg.
mpreg.
The letter M.
is short for male pregnancy.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
in
of course.
in
moon-
pairings,
when the moon makes a
when the
man
moon makes a
pregnant.
man pregnant. So yeah, because this started as a thing in the supernatural fandom, which is nothing but dudes.
Right.
It started with mostly male pairings, so like Sherlock, Supernatural, that sort of thing.
Right.
And a big part of it is breeding. And so mpreg is when a dude gets pregnant
Great.
through sex with another dude. The person that wrote the guide says, I like to call them ass babies.
Oh my god.
Because the guy
They
doesn't
shoot out of their ass.
the guy doesn't have a vagina. They're
Yeah.
still having anal sex, but there's something in there that like connects to a uterus, I guess. But yeah,
The male uterus is in the butt.
And-
yes.
But it's weird that the belly would still go in the front, not like in the back. Like
Yeah,
a
you
back-
just grow a hump on your back,
Yeah, and it's
like
a baby.
like
Yeah.
a turtle.
Oh yeah.
Another note that the person that wrote the guide said was, let's not dig too deeply into the biology. We've all decided just collectively
absolutely.
to not.
Has
It happens. Let's just move on.
That's so funny.
Okay, what do you think heat cycles are?
Those are cycles of like being in and out of heat, of being like, I'm horny, I need to fuck right now because it's my time of the month to get pregnant and have a lot of babies.
Yep, that's exactly right. And
Sick.
and
Nailed
sometimes
it.
like
You did good.
the timing of it is often like either it can be like monthly or yearly. It kind of depends on the author.
Boy, a
Or
yearly
every 3
cycle,
months
that's
is-
Or every
is,
3
uh,
months, or quarterly.
Yeah, quarterly heat is something I've read a lot
Yep.
actually.
But yeah, the Omega really needs to have sex with somebody.
a magazine in the Omegaverse called Quarterly Heat.
Quarterly heat. It's like kind of a common thing in books or in fics. I don't know if it's a common thing with KUs, where a lot of the time like your main character has been resisting going into heat or having a partner for their heat. And so they like try to like masturbate it out alone. But all you need, you need a dick. You need penetration
Like,
in
it
order to
hurts
satisfy the heat. And yeah, it can be really painful if you try to like not basically give your body what it needs. And so
If you
that's
can't
a
get
big
that
thing.
dick,
Yeah,
your badge hurts.
Yep, it hurts. Or your butthole. And the other thing with heats is it's supposed to make the Omega more fertile, which is a whole thing if you're getting into breeding kinks. And then it usually lasts for 3 to 5 days. That seems to be agreed upon, that it's a thing that you have to take work off for. Like it is a disruptive thing.
Sure, yeah.
It's not an overnight occurrence.
Well, plus you go to work in heat, your pheromones are getting everyone in the office
Exactly.
all in a tizzy.
That's a real thing. I mean, in the books.
In the books. In the books.
I mean, not in real life.
Okay, well, what do you think nodding is?
Do you want us to spell it or?
yeah, that would be. Could you use it in a sentence?
KNOTTING.
All right, I'm glad that you did spell it because I
told you.
Yeah, that was helpful.
Nodding.
That was helpful. Is it when two wolves mate so ferociously, that their hair knots together in a knotted tangle.
I wish that's what it was.
I wish.
So
Actually, no, I don't wish. I
I
like
don't
that I know it not.
Nodding is fun.
In these stories, I'm fine with it.
Yes.
right.
So it's
That was an
a thing.
ominous way to set this up.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. I'm fine with it.
So it's a thing that alphas get, and it's taken from a lot of animals, particularly wolves, when they're having sex, the base of the dick will literally form a knot, like it will get slightly wider to lock them in place, to give the semen a better chance.
Yeah, to close the seal.
Yeah, nothing can escape. So like the whole thing with nodding is the alpha's dick gets really, really big at the end, and then a lot of the times they're literally locked together for some period of time until
And
it
they have to
deflates.
lay that
They have to
way.
lay together,
Okay.
and they can't just like run away from each other. So it's kind of nice because it gets rid of a lot of the like, I can't talk to you right now immediately after sex drama. It's like, no, they're literally
stuck
forced.
together.
For like 20 minutes, they're
physically
laying
stuck
there.
together immediately after sex, and they have to presumably have a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's also a thing sometimes. So I said earlier that in some fics, the like act of having sex during a heat can lock in a soul bond. Sometimes nodding is part of that too.
Okay.
Sometimes it's something that the alpha has control over. Sometimes it's not.
I'm a premature nodder.
God.
Woof.
But yeah, that's nodding. You know what semen is, but I did write a note about it.
Yeah, that's there are people that go out and they sail on boats
Yeah.
and submarines.
Catch
They
fish.
serve their country well. Those seamen.
So semen, there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big part of this. Is
Gotcha. So
there's
just like real life.
there's all the time. Usually it's a thing that everyone can come as many times as they want during a heat. There's just a lot of coming. There's a lot of that because the whole point is to get pregnant.
Insatiability is a big
Insatiability,
word.
a lot of that. Let's see. Heat leave, which is a term for when you have to take leave because you're going into heat.
Right,
And
sure.
your work needs to be informed. That comes up more than you'd think it would in stories. They cover the practicality of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my company doesn't cover heat leave, so
I mean,
So I can't work
I
there.
can't come fuck right now. I'm working.
the mating gland or scent gland.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a thing in a lot of fics where the omega will literally have like a place, usually on the side of the neck. And if bitten, that can be something that solidifies the bond as well. But generally, it's just like that's where the pheromones come out of. And like there's a
Right.
lot of like licking of the neck and biting of the neck.
Oh yeah, your
and-
heat gland
or the wrist.
gotta be an erogenous zone.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think girls get hickeys? Girls love their necks kissed.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
And I'm speaking for
Yeah,
all
yeah,
womankind.
Will.
I'm gonna say guys too. I like a
Everyone
good
likes
I
to
mean,
get
especially
neck,
with
yes.
people with beards, it's kind of like, ooh,
a little tickly.
It's like a little like you're exfoliating the skin, you know?
And then the last term I think that we haven't covered is suppressants, which I think you can figure out.
pills you take, or drugs you take that help suppress your heat, keep you from going into heat and letting your pheromones get all over the office. You whore slut.
Yes. Yes. Not in quite so many words, but yes. So yeah,
Wow.
it can either be to suppress the heat. It can also sometimes in fics be to literally suppress just the smell. That so that you, because a lot of times it's a thing of you don't want people to know that you're an omega because
Sure,
you don't
yeah.
want to be taken advantage of, you don't want to be preyed upon. So those come into play in a lot of fics where
Got it.
usually I feel like usually the main character is the omega. I haven't read as many where it's the alpha.
Or it's a dual POV.
Yeah,
But
but a lot of times the omega is really focused on at the beginning of it
Yes.
on not presenting as what they are, or at the very least keeping it on the down low.
And I think like you kind of touched on it, but in a lot that I've read, I think it's important to say that when an omega is in heat and an alpha smells it, like they cannot control themselves. And like it's usually you're like, I'm Emily, but the alpha in me will take over. And so
Gotcha.
it's kind of sometimes
And it's the
like
same
you read
thing
it
with the
as,
omega as well.
It's two different people inside of you.
And the trying to resist it can be a whole thing. Yeah, but that's kind of, and another big chunk of it is a lot of the time the coming together is the alpha
Yeah, coming.
is the alpha like helping the omega through the heat cycle, because it's usually depicted as being actually kind of painful because they're kind of in this desperate insatiable state where it literally is
It's an itch that needs to be scratched really badly.
for like 3 days.
Yeah.
So a lot of the ones that I've read, the alpha is like literally like, okay, I'm gonna make sure we have water and food,
Yes.
and that you shower, and
taking care of that omega.
Right.
the like
Very big.
like the caretaking element of it is a big part in these as well. Of like the alpha just like being that person who is still sane.
Yeah,
that
like,
can
no,
help.
we can't fuck right now.
Right, literally. Like we need like at least let me give you a multivitamin.
Eat these eggs first.
You've come so much, you must hydrate.
We have to replace some of those proteins.
There's a specific one, a fanfic Omegaverse that I'm thinking of that's like they stress that part in it, or like they cover that
Which
really
one?
well. I don't know if you read it, so I don't want to.
You can tell me.
It's a Sinlin Yu. Did you read that one?
All I Want?
Yeah.
No, I read about half of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but so Sinlin Yu, who has come up twice now, we started the season with her. We did the middle of the season
Manacled,
with her.
yep.
I almost did her other fic, All You Want, which is the most popular Omegaverse fic on AO3.
Which is the first one I ever read and got into Omegaverse through that.
Yes,
Gotcha.
and that's a Hermione, and I almost did it for this because I was like, I like the symmetry of that,
Right.
And then I spent so much time doing the research we just covered that I was like, I need something shorter.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this is where, but Senlin Yu continues. This is Senlin Yu's season, and I'm very proud of them. And we'll have to
Thank you,
find a way
Senlin
to let
Yu.
them know that they've had a huge influence on this season. So before I get into my fanfic,
Yeah.
any questions about all the stuff you just learned?
No, I mean, I think it makes sense. It was well explained. I feel like I'm on board with kind of what's happening. I might have more questions, but when we get to the end of everything. But for now, I think I just kind of want to see
Wanna
where
know more?
everything goes. Yeah, I
Okay.
want to know more. Absolutely.
All right. So there are 30,271 works tagged Omegaverse on AO3. It is very popular.
That seems really low to me.
Well, you have to remember too that
Oh, it started on other.
it started on fanfiction.net.
Yeah. Okay.
Too.
Oh, I wonder
So
what those numbers
there's
are.
a lot more in the universe.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Interestingly to me, of the 30,000 or so, only 14,000 of them are explicit. All the
Oh.
others are mature or
Really?
teen. Yeah.
Although coding like mature, couldn't that be
That
explicit?
mature can like border on that line, but
Okay.
I just expected more nasty sex fics.
Yeah, you would think.
Oh, wait until you get into the Kindle verse of this.
Oh
area.
yeah, I'm so excited because I've never read a KU version of this.
I read one.
Yeah. So the top 2 fandoms are for Omegaverse right now are My Hero Academia with 1,129.
Oh.
My Hero Academia has a lot of fanfic. A lot of fanfic.
That's not surprising.
And then the second highest is Sherlock with
Yeah.
672. The big tags that come up with it is obviously mating cycles, heat, nodding, anal sex, empreg, breeding. And then, like I already said, the most popular is our dear friend Senlin Yu with All You Want, sorry. And that fic, I just looked really quick, has 1,267,776 hits.
Wow,
It
that's
is.
And like
all
4 of them are me.
And 4 of them are you. I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
That's insane.
So for today, we're doing one of the first Omegaverse I ever read.
Oh.
wow.
It is the most popular fic in this pairing. It's called Hollow by TimmyJayBird. It's 3 chapters. It has 58,213 hits, and it was published April of 2015.
Okay.
So it was right at the beginning of all the Omegaverse stuff. It is Batman and the Joker.
Oh my God.
Hell
I
yeah.
am so
Hell yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
I am so excited by this idea.
You're into the pairing, or you're just into the idea?
I'm excited for this whole story I'm about to get. Because, like, yes, I'm kind of into that pairing, but also, like, how does this work? Which one's which?
There's a lot
I
of
don't
tension
know.
there. There's a lot
There
of
is
tension.
so much tension there. Oh my God.
The tags are my favorite tag is there are large amounts of smut that sort of vaguely have a plot somewhere. So
Nice.
A
that's what we're
pupe
doing.
if I've ever seen one.
Yup. Will, tell us about Batman and the Joker.
Oh boy. Well, Batman, he's a vigilante, right? He's all about justice. And his one rule is that he does not kill. And Joker is a villain that's all about chaos, about proving that the order of this world is false and that it's all a charade and can all be brought down so easily. And
With the power of comedy.
And is really obsessed with Batman and this idea of a man that can be more than a man. And Joker's whole thing is kind of testing him and seeing if he can uphold his own ideas and be this kind of idealistic hero version of himself. And so often the Joker's trying to get Batman to break his one rule and to finally kill someone, but kind of sees themselves as like these two cosmic beings in an internal dance over the soul of Gotham, where Batman is here for order and the status quo, and the Joker is an agent of chaos and change. And that's their dance that they do.
Yeah. And the Joker is, I don't know, listener, if you've somehow never encountered either of these characters, I don't really know what to tell
Fuck is
you.
wrong with you? It's my favorite superhero.
Yeah, but it's important to say that the Joker is dressed up like a clown.
Yep.
Most of the time. And has scars, giant scars. Usually is how at least I'm thinking like Heath Ledger's Joker, like literally like a smile carved into their face, or like in the cartoon, it's just like a super wide smile
And
the
makeup.
and like the Jack Nicholson one, the whole thing is like, life's a big joke. Why are you taking things so seriously? Explode. Et cetera, et cetera.
Is this a certain iteration of Batman and the Joker?
It does not say.
I mean, 2015.
It's the Dark
Christopher
Knight.
Nolan. Okay.
Yeah, because I the way that they write the Joker's dialogue has the cadence of Heath Ledger's delivery.
Okay.
So that is who I pictured in this.
Yeah.
But all that said, there is huge variety of the different types of like DCU and animated series and all the things.
Shout out to Mark Hamill's Joker.
Hell
Yep.
yes. Hell
Absolutely.
yes.
So yeah, Will, you hit the nail on the head though. Like it's kind of for the pairing itself, if we're looking at the fanfics, it's really leaning into that like obsessive longing enemies to lovers thing. And only you can understand me because we have a similar darkness, but we channel it in different ways,
Yeah.
etc., etc. There are about 3,000 works with this pairing from what I could find on the DCU tag. I'm sure there are more everywhere else because I read a lot of this pairing on LiveJournal. But yeah, so let's get into it. This is from... We jump to the Joker's POV a little bit, but it is almost majority Batman's POV. So we open on... Oh, one other thing we didn't mention, which again, if you somehow don't know this, I don't know who the fuck you are, or how you managed, but Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Playboy millionaire.
Playboy
Bruce
millionaire,
Wayne.
like
Philanthropist,
the richest man in Gotham, very rich boy who had trauma because his parents died and decided to channel that trauma into using all of his money to build fancy gadgets and fight crime.
Canonically, the Joker killed his parents.
It depends on which telling you're going with.
Okay.
And in some versions, it is the Joker that kills his
some
parents.
it's
And
just
some
a
versions,
street
it's a
thug.
random mugger that kills him in an alleyway
Gotcha.
outside
Yeah.
the opera.
And I think if we're going with the Nolan one, I don't think they ever actually... It's like a random
Yeah,
person.
it's just random.
Yeah. Yeah, so for our purposes for this one, the Joker didn't kill Batman's parents because that would just really complicate this relationship, and we don't want to get into it.
It's Carmine Falcone's thug that kills in the
Yes.
Nolan
Yes.
ones.
Yes.
It's true.
I just
yeah.
wanted to. I love Batman. I love Batman so much.
yeah.
So
He's
literally
a
my
good
favorite.
hero. He doesn't have superpowers. I think that we should also
Yeah.
mention that.
Oh, yeah.
Batman Returns is one of my favorite movies. I watch it every Christmas. Angela.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Anyways,
Okay.
Anyway, so we open on Batman from his POV. He is kind of getting ready for another night of crime fighting. And we establish pretty much immediately that he is an Omega. because he is really
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
of course. I mean, of the two.
I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting. Okay, but I guess
Yeah.
this makes sense.
because
Alright.
he's thinking about it, and it's because it's a big part of how he has to suit up for the night, because he has to put on he has basically this leg patch that was developed for him that is supposed to suppress his heat.
Gotcha.
And it's like industrial grade shit, because he can't be dealing with that while he's trying
Can't
to
be
fight crime.
fighting crime, yeah.
Can't be fighting crime and be in heat.
I'm so excited. I don't know why. I'm just like, I know what's gonna happen. Okay.
But for some reason, while he's getting ready for the night, he's like, I should really rest, but the streets need me.
God, I wish I could take a nap, but crime
Never
sleep.
sleeps. And his internal monologue is like, it's because the Joker just recently got out of Arkham, and so for the last like 3 or 4 days, the Joker has been keeping him busy. But he's thinking about how he feels tired and how his body aches, but like he can't really think about that right now because it's just been days of explosions and car chases. And that must be why he feels that way in his body.
Yeah.
And
It's definitely not because he needs some dig.
no, absolutely not. And so he gets into his suit, and we establish that he's even gone so far as what's the name of his tech guy? Not
Fox.
Fox.
Yep.
Fox has
Lucius Fox.
Yes?
Yes, thank you. Has built into his suit. Not only does he have suppressants, but it's like a alpha pheromone thing that tells other people like, this is what I'm an alpha.
Yeah.
There's nothing to see here.
He's got a masking cloak.
He's
of
got
alpha.
a scent masking, a scent cowl to go with his
Yes.
face cowl.
It protects his neck from biting and kissing.
Yeah, from all the sexy stuff. He's thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm tired because I'm well overdue for a heat. And we basically learn that he's been pushing himself. He's basically been doubling up on suppressants to keep himself from going into a heat, because he hates that he is an Omega, because Batman, Bruce Wayne cannot cannot show weakness. Does not do well historically with being weak, and also because the streets need him.
Yeah.
Keep saying that.
But he hates the kind of helplessness to his own body that happens with this. And we hear in his POV that rather than the heat happening every 1 to 2 months the way it's supposed to, he's now on month 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. He's due. He's due for heat.
And then we switch POVs to the Joker, and he's kind of pacing on a street amongst some abandoned, some beat up fucking cars.
Yeah.
He's poured gasoline all over, and he's just thinking about time to play, and he's like, time to call Batman. And there's a lot of very flowery language about the dance that they do, the eternal dance
course.
between chaos and order. And he makes all the cars explode, and of course Batman shows up, and he's delighted.
Yeah.
And then we switch right back to Batman, and he gets on the scene. He is immediately overwhelmed by the Joker's scent when he arrives, and goes, "Oh no, I've made it." Like Joe from Arrested Development, I've made a huge mistake. And so he tries to just push through. He hits his little button to be like, I'm an alpha, and then he punches the Joker in the face. And so they basically start fist fighting in the middle of the street. Joker is laughing hysterically and is kind of mocking him because he's like, where's your energy? You don't seem really on top of it, Batsy. And the Batman is like very turned on because he's like, even though he's like alpha, he can still smell what's coming at him. He's like, oh no, what do I
Gotta
do?
get some nose tampons.
Yes, exactly.
Or plugs, I guess is a better.
Nose tampons. And so they get to a point where they're like wrestling around, and then Batman is pinned and the Joker is on top of him, and Batman can't help it, and he kind of does a little grind. He does a little grind up.
Oh.
And the Joker freezes and just stares at him. And
You crossed the line, buddy.
yeah.
This was supposed to be a fight.
And Bruce is like is horrified at himself, but also can't help it.
But what a great way to subdue an attacker into into
Just,
shock.
Yeah.
Just like a little bit of grind action.
Ooh, and they're like, wait, what? And then you just pop them right in the face.
Sorry, what was that a moment?
And then something we did not cover in my explanation is, this should be self-explanatory though, obviously, for the male pairings, the Omega gets wet the same way that a woman does. but out of their butthole. Yay. Okay, great. So Bruce gets wet.
Get some swamp ass.
And it should. I don't know if it's called this in yours, but slick.
Slick.
Okay.
Yep. It's called slick.
It is abundant when
Yeah.
When
you're
in
very
heat,
turned on.
because
Okay.
you're
Yeah,
gonna have a lot
absolutely.
of sex, and you
So
need,
you need a lot of natural lube.
Yep.
Yep.
Slick.
So that happens, and Bruce is again. He's horrified by himself, and then he responds to his horror by punching the Joker in the face again, and they continue fighting, and then Bruce gets pinned again, and he hits his head really hard on the ground, and the Joker is once again like on top of him, kind of laughing obviously as he does, and then once again pauses and gives him a long look because Batman realizes that the knock to the head fucked up his little scent gland
Thing that pushes it out.
Yep, the thing that pushes it out, it stopped. All of a sudden, his natural stuff is in the air, and the Joker smells it. And now we switched back to the Joker's POV, and all he's thinking is, "I knew it. Somehow I sensed it. I knew this was part of it. Oh my god!" And Bruce is like shaking at this point. He realizes, okay, I am going into heat. The suppressants are not working. I need to get the fuck out of here. And he doesn't even notice the Joker taking off his mask. And so the Joker knows that he's Bruce Wayne.
Oh, that's not good.
And the quote is, "If anyone had ever told me that Bruce Wayne was dressing as a bat every night, why, I would have told them they deserved my cell in Arkham." And then he like sniffs Bruce and says, "But they never talked about you being an Omega, little bat boy. Have you simply managed to pay everyone off?" And it's kind of taunting him, and Bruce is like fully like, I don't know what to do. And so then they fully start making out. Obviously, the Joker kisses him and says, "This is not the
Classic
right."
Batman.
Obviously. And the Joker kisses him and says, like, "This isn't a good place for your heat. Let's get out of here." And Bruce is kind of out of it, but he's like, "That's nicer than I thought I would get from this person." But he's so just kind of like, "Yeah, you're right." And
I've got a cave if you...
they get on the bat bike and
the bat cycle.
And the Joker gets them to Wayne Manor. So just picture the Joker and Batman with Batman in the back on a motorbike speeding through the city, which is a visual I love.
I just am worried about the consequences of this.
I know. I'm going to tell you about
finding the Batcave. Anyways,
I'm going to tell you about him. So they get back home. It is obviously very tense. Bruce is out of it, but he still is aware of what he's doing and that this is one of his many enemies, and that like this could be really bad. And the Joker is being actually very very caretakery.
Yeah.
And being like he's kind of down to business. He's like, "Take off your clothes. We need to get you through this."
Fold them, pile in the corner.
Yep, put 'em over
Alfred,
there.
I'm going to need some Gatorade and ramen noodles.
we need-
So
we need a nest.
Alfred is very conveniently not there on this day, but Alfred will be back tomorrow night, which is important for upcoming story. And the Joker basically is like, "Hey, I can literally hear your heartbeat. Relax. How do you normally do this?" And Bruce, very embarrassed, like can't even say out loud that he normally doesn't do anything, just suffers. Like that he's never done this before. And the Joker just like pushes him on the bed. He's like, "You should go to sleep. You're gonna have a rough day tomorrow." And like kisses him, and then gives Bruce a hand job to get him to like calm the fuck down. And Bruce is like, "What is happening?" He's like, "Don't worry about it, just go to bed." And we're getting the Joker's POV where he's like, "This is not my first time doing this." And there's like this is something that comes up in these fics a lot too, where like there's kind of an alpha, like it's like a code, it's like a sense of responsibility of like, if you're entrusted with someone being this vulnerable, and apparently even the Joker has some level of like obligation and duty to like helping someone see this out.
Yeah, the inner alpha takes over.
The inner alpha takes over and is like, "Okay,
to protect
I protect and serve this person now, and I help them through it." And it's like one of the gravest things that you could possibly do is like take advantage of somebody in this state.
Got it.
So that's where we're at. Chapter 2. Bruce wakes up and says something along the lines of, "I'm surprised you didn't slit my throat in my sleep." what are we doing here? And the Joker says, this is so much more interesting than if I had killed you.
Yeah.
Like, this is a great night for me. Please
He's not
don't.
lying.
Yeah. And he says you should take a shower before the worst of it comes on. They shower. And towards the end. Together. And towards the end, Bruce starts to get feverish, which is like a sign that the worst of it is coming. And Joker has to like actually like help him out of the shower. And while he's toweling off, the Joker finds his fucking hormone patch on his thigh.
Yeah.
And is like, you don't need this anymore. And flings it across the room. And then they get into bed, and only then does Bruce realize that the Joker's makeup washed off in the shower.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, and so he's like kind of fascinated by his scars, and he's like touching them. And the Joker jokes, is he like, am I too horrifying for you? Do I look pretty? What's going on? And Bruce says, no, you're not that horrifying. And then he kisses him. And the Joker, we're like in the Joker's POV, and he's just thinking about all the horrible, sexy things he wants to do to Bruce. And now we just start a full day of fucking. So I'm going to just really quickly run through some of the highlights. So we get Bruce on top, straddling the Joker's chest, actually, like riding his fingers. While the Joker like sucks hickeys into his thighs and then gives him a blowjob.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. All right.
Straightforward.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, who hasn't been there?
Obviously. Bruce comes, and then the Joker pushes him onto all fours, and then he eats him out until he comes again.
Oh, he's a battering.
Oh, yeah.
It comes twice.
This is the thing.
You keep going.
You just keep going.
Yeah, it never stops.
The Omega can just keep doing the thing. And then afterwards, Bruce says, well, that wasn't fair to you. Let me help you. And the Joker says, I've been dealing with this frustration for years with all of our little fights. Like, this is nothing. Don't worry about me. And Bruce is like, oh, so he is actively resisting a lot of the biological shit that would be going on for him as an alpha. Like, he's kind of holding himself back. And then the Joker, like, kind of catches Bruce's chin and like makes him look at him and says, your heat's not the first one I've experienced. What's fair to me isn't my priority right now. Like, I've done this before. Don't worry about it.
I've had my needs met. Let's work on yours.
Let's work on yours. And so basically, after coming like 4 times, the heat kind of subsides a little bit, enough for them to be able to think about food. So they go to the kitchen to get water and food, and Bruce is kind of shocked that that the bonding didn't happen, because that was really what he was dreading. And he also is like, shit, Alfred's gonna be back soon. I have to call him to tell him not to come because I'm in heat. And so he calls Alfred, and as the phone is ringing, the Joker just slowly walks up to him and then starts to give him a blowjob while he's on the phone with Alfred. Hot.
Honestly, yeah.
So hot. And so, yeah, it's one of those lovely blowjobs and trying to sound normal while on the phone with, like, basically his dad.
Yeah.
Like, if we really think about it, kind of his dad. And he doesn't do a great job. Even as the reader, you can tell he doesn't do a great job of being normal.
I need you to stay away from the manor.
No, he doesn't have his Batman voice on with Alfred. Alfred! I need you to stay
Alfred, I need you to stay away from the manor.
That's better.
That is probably actually pretty accurate.
Stay away from the manor.
So after this, they go back to the bedroom, and this time they are about to actually have like penetrative sex.
Yeah.
And Bruce panics and says, stop. And the Joker stops. Great. Consent. Love and insane consent.
Joker listens to safe words.
Yup. And Bruce admits that he has never had sex in that way before, and he's scared. And the Joker looks.
The only dick I've had is Grayson.
Oh.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
For a few minutes now. I've been sitting on that one.
There you go. I could tell from the light in your eyes.
Low hanging fruit.
No, it's perfect.
But someone had to pluck it, so I'm proud of you.
There you go.
Thank you.
The Joker's surprised. He says, all right, I'll do whatever you want me to do, and gives him a hand job instead. Great. And so then,
Batman
like,
has all those fun tools.
I know, but he doesn't want to use them because he's weird about his body. And so afterwards, they're kind of the Joker is like, so this is really your first time being with anyone during your heat, like truly, really. And Bruce can't even say yes; he just nods and is like very embarrassed. And they're kind of like falling asleep. And as Bruce falls asleep, he hears the Joker whisper, "So you let me in?" And then falls asleep. Chapter 3. The Joker wakes up. He hears footsteps way down the hallway, somewhere in the mansion, throws on some underwear and Bruce's shirt, and goes to meet who he is sure is Alfred, disobeying that really convincing phone call. And Alfred is also, he immediately smells an alpha. So it's 2 alphas meeting. And
that's not good.
It's not good. There's a territorial thing going on. And Alfred is immediately very like, what the fuck are you doing here? What have you done to Bruce? And the Joker says, nothing he didn't ask me for. He he he.
Yeah.
And Alfred says that he's seen Bruce like this before, but had no idea that he'd pushed himself this far, that like he knows that it's not healthy. And he would have done anything to stop this from happening because now the Joker's in his fucking mansion. Yeah. And he kind of tries to get around the Joker, like to go check on Bruce. And the Joker lets him. And then just as Alfred's trying to wake Bruce up, the Joker like crawls into bed next to him and kind of snuggles up. And is like, Bruce, baby, Bruce, Alfred wants to talk to you. And like kisses him on the forehead and is like, we have company. And then he finally wakes up and is horrified because his second dad is there staring at him naked in bed, probably covered in his own cum.
With his mortal enemy.
Yeah, with his mortal enemy. That honestly, that is third tier embarrassment compared to the other two things.
Oh yeah.
And Alfred kind of is like, okay, this is what you're saying you need. He's like, the Joker should leave, and Bruce says, no, we're doing this. We're already doing it.
He's in it for the long haul.
Yep, it's happening. And Alfred says, okay, I will stay here, but on the other side of the manor to give you privacy. But I'm not leaving. Basically, is what he says. And so then we do a lot more sex, bee-boo bop, so much sex. And it's like Bruce like wakes up from a nightmare, like he's screaming, and the Joker's like, was that about me? And he's like, no, it wasn't fucking about you. And they start having sex, but it's like really kind of like rough. Like a lot of biting, a lot of like rougher stuff.
It's like, it's gonna be next time.
And Bruce finally like consents to having sex. And Joker says, you told me you didn't want it, pretty boy. And Bruce says, but I do now. Like, let's do it. And he says, okay, last chance to say no. And Bruce says yes. And they fuck.
He finally let him in the Batcave.
Yup, it's great.
Emily's so mad right now.
And the Joker has a knot. And so they fall asleep still connected. Yay. And so, yeah, so they're basically from then on, they're having very angsty sex of like, and we're in Bruce's head, and he's like, I think I can like feel a bond starting. Like, I'm really scared. If this happens, I don't know what it means. And the Joker is kind of like, while they're having sex, is like, shut me out. You can't, this can't happen. Shut me out.
Don't let the
Don't
bond.
do it. Don't let the cloud in.
This is gonna ruin everything.
Yep. And
all my plans.
Yep.
We can't fight anymore.
And the Joker actually, we switch into his POV, and he like actively stops thinking about Bruce like at the end of it, because he's like, I do not want this soul bond to take. This is not. This will fuck up both of our lives. And the next day, and Bruce isn't in his right mind, and Bruce wakes up the next day, the heat has broken, the Joker is gone, and Bruce is disappointed because his boyfriend left. And a couple days pass where these two fuckers are pining for each other, and then the Joker makes himself known by setting a fire on a rooftop, and then just sitting and waiting, and Batman shows up. What?
He's waiting for him.
He's waiting for him.
It's cute.
Because he tried to resist, and he was like, we might be fucking bonded or whatever. And
Batman shows up like, I got your Tinder message.
I got you, literally.
That was
Yes.
we can't think fast today.
Oh, it's okay. You're too happy.
Yeah. Comedy for the bitter and broken.
Honestly, it's true.
Yeah. And then all that happens from there is Joker's like sitting on the edge of the roof, and Batman lands and like walks up next to him and like sits down next to him and says, you know, you didn't have to leave. And Joker says, you didn't need me anymore. Your heat was over. I could smell it. Like, it was really short because you keep fucking yourself up on suppressants. You should stop doing that because it's going to kill you. And Bruce says, I know. And he goes, but also you could have made us bonded forever and destroyed my life.
Yeah.
And you didn't. And you didn't use that as leverage. And so I think maybe we could try to do this again.
Maybe we should do this more often.
And, and they kind of like hug.
Just like casually though. It's just like super casual. Just
Casually, like as a thing where you don't really. No,
like I kind of gotta get fucked, and you kind of gotta fuck. So like, why don't we fuck each other?
So why don't we just both
And the rest of the time we can fight. And,
Listen, you don't need to light a fire. You could just call me.
You could just call
text
me. But like secretly, they're both of their inner monologues are like, yes, fist pump, yes, this is my favorite thing. I'm so happy. I'm so in love, and they live happily ever after.
I love it. Honestly, so believable in their relationship that nothing else would change except that every once in a while they like periodically
do it.
fuck.
They periodically fuck.
Also, when you said like, and they have like angsty sex, I was like, oh, so this is actually the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, I'm like, that's way more
We
believable
switched
to
to
me.
Robert Pattinson just for that.
Midway.
It's a Robert Pattinson Batman, but it's absolutely the Mark
Heath
Hamill
Led-
Joker.
Oh.
The way some of the lines
I
he
could kinda
calls
see
him
that, too.
Batsy a few times, like
Yeah.
that's Mark Hamill for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's Batsy or Brucey Baby.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Yep.
which I
Heath
love.
Ledger would never.
Brucey Baby. So my game is very simple, very straightforward. Fuck, marry, kill. Ledger Joker. Nicholson Joker.
Oh.
Okay.
No. I already know what I'm saying. Go on.
Ledger Joker, Nicholson Joker, Pattinson Joker.
I don't know what
I
the
haven't seen
the Pattinson Joker you don't see, right? You
Okay.
only
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Robert Pattinson? Oh,
Is
not
this
Joker.
the Joke-
Sorry.
Oh, we're talking about you want the Batman's.
No. I fucked it up. Fuck, marry, kill. Nicholson Joker, Ledger Joker, animated series Joker.
Okay.
Fuck,
Got
marry,
it.
kill.
Fuck, marry, kill. Nicholson, Ledger, Hamill.
All right. I'm killing Jack Nicholson just because we have the same last name. I feel like it'd be weird to
Yeah.
fuck or marry him.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
potentially.
But you'd be calling him Joker the whole time. Because he's the Joker. He's not Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I did find it funny. This whole
Fair
fic,
enough.
they have so much sex, no first name ever. Bruce, yes. Joker is
Brucey
Joker.
Baby and Joker.
Yeah,
Joker doesn't have
Do
an
me,
idea.
Joker.
yeah.
It's more flowery than that, I'm sure. Let's sex, Joker. So kill Nicholson, Joker. you
Kill
said.
Nicholson.
Kill
Yeah,
Nicholson.
Kill Nicholson.
Will
Absolutely.
Nicholson will be killing
Killing
Nicholson.
Nicholson.
There can only be one.
Will Nicholson.
Uh-huh.
Will Nicholson.
Last Nicholson standing will be me. And then I think I would fuck the animated Joker and marry Heath Ledger's Joker just because I feel like Heath Ledger's Joker has more of a plan than he lets on, right? He likes to talk a big game about how he's a man without a plan, just a dog
No, he has a
chasing
full plan.
cars. But he's fully got a plan. Like, he timed everything out in that bank heist to the T at the beginning. He fucking got all of the different people, like, in cars with, like, cops that could shoot him and shit, and, like, had the whole boats thing going. Like, he's a planner. He thinks 3 or 4 steps ahead.
So that wedding will be gorgeous.
Exactly.
He's a planner.
Yeah.
Exactly. My
The flower
needs
arrangements.
will be met before I even know that I have them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I do.
Still might.
I do the exact same. Not to be super.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, kill Nicholson because he's just too. Although I do love the Prince soundtrack that would probably
Yeah.
accompany it, but
Yeah.
no, just not into it. Fuck the cartoon one because like I think it'd be fun, but I think I'd really get tired of him.
yeah.
And then like yes, like marry Heath Ledger Joker because I think it'd always be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just never know what's gonna happen with him, but also like he would care for you.
Yeah,
Maybe.
absolutely. Like he's got an intensity that the others don't.
Like,
the
I
others
think-
feel a little bit more flippant.
His
Yes.
love language would be acts of service.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, this whole fic was that.
And
Yeah,
it'd be like
yeah.
you come home to a corpse of somebody that slighted you at work. the
Yeah,
other
and be like,
day.
I killed.
I did.
I have to work with him, but
Not
he
anymore.
called you a bitch.
Not anymore.
I will say, I think the Jack Nicholson Joker, part of the unappeal of it is those cheeks, the prosthetics.
Oh,
Yeah, they're so
yeah.
gross.
It's
Yeah.
too
So
much.
gross. Omegaverse.
Yep.
What about you?
I agree with you guys.
You all the
it's
same?
it's kind of a boring thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree.
It's not boring. It's necessary to talk about.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a reason I was reading Batman and Joker as a pairing around when The Dark Knight came out. And I think that's all I have to say there.
Yeah, no.
I've never once felt the need to read fan fiction about animated series Joker. So
Yeah.
here we are. So yeah, that's my fic.
All right. Let's get into mine.
Naughty.
So this is the first and only Kindle Unlimited book I have read about Omegaverse that takes place in an Omegaverse.
Okay.
I looked it up because everything I've read beforehand has been fanfic.
Right.
And I looked up just like best Omegaverse Kindle Unlimited because again, I try to keep it to either free, like it's costs $0 or Kindle Unlimiteds. And everything I saw was like $3 and up, which I was like too much for this podcast.
Yeah.
We don't have subscribers.
I'm on a budget.
I'm on a budget of $0.
I need my rocks off for no money.
Correct. And so it took me a while to kind of like wade through some stuff because there's also the equivalent of a porn without plot fiction
Sure.
that I don't want to do for this podcast. You want you need to talk about something.
I mean, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm a slut for narrative, so I need that story.
Literally my favorite thing you've ever said. So I did find this story. It's called Possession. It's part of the Forbidden Alpha series.
Ooh.
This is book 1. It's by Lilliana Carlisle. It is 243 pages, and it came out December 31st, 2022. So pretty recently. Disclaimer: This takes place in a dystopian future. Almost,
Okay.
it's very similar to this life.
Our dystopian reality that we currently live in.
Correct.
Okay.
And so I just like, after last week when you guys were like, oh, I'm like, this is a very soap opera-y dramatic story.
Great.
So don't expect it to be real. And it relies heavily on like the biology aspect and things like that.
All right.
So I just want to like put that in your mind so you're not like, what? And it's like,
This isn't how science works.
this is an Omegaverse novel.
Okay. Yeah. This is a alternate universe in which the rules are Omega.
Yeah. It is a dual POV, and so we start out with Hazel and Ava. They are best friends, and they are teachers at Lincoln City Elementary in Washington State. They are the only two Omegas with teaching jobs in the whole state.
Oh.
And I will also say, the very beginning of this is a lot of like explaining of like what the world is and what what the rules of the Omegaverse are.
Which makes sense for a first book, especially with KU, where it's not just like a language that everyone knows the way it is in fan fiction.
There aren't tags you can read before the book.
There isn't a literal health handy guide that you can link to.
It is implied with the series name being like Forbidden Alpha series, like that if you're searching that and you're looking it out, like you should already know somewhat or just like the bare bones at least, which is kind of what I knew. I knew like a little more, but it's something like that.
Love the idea. Instead of a like index or glossary in the back of the book, there's just Omegaverse rules.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nodding.
Sometimes you need
nesting. And so they're at lunch right now, and Ava is basically yelling at Hazel, who is our main character, because Hazel went to her spot again. Hazel goes to a spot. It's on the outskirts of town, which she is not allowed to go to because she is an Omega. More into that later.
Gotcha.
It is off the path road next to a chain link fence, and on the other side is water, and in the distance there is an island. And that's where she goes to think. It is at this point we are to presume that that's where the alphas are. They make mention to it that it's this something kind of smells different over there. And that's
Alpha Island?
Yeah, Alpha Island.
Oh, okay.
And she went
and
there.
She goes there?
She goes to the chain link fence part and just kind of sits there and looks at it.
Got it. So it's a boy in the striped pajamas type situation.
Oh my! Wow!
Wow!
Okay.
Oh, I guess Jessica just said that.
I guess.
We are on our second glass of wine. She went because she's having a hard time with the fact that they took Connor away, and we find out that Connor, she is at an elementary school. She's teaching like second and third graders.
Sure.
Connor is a boy that somehow presented as an alpha, and that's very weird because usually you present when you're like 18.
Right.
We're told that the alphas are sequestered away because everyone in the United States has learned that alphas are barbaric and they cannot control their anger, and they're very close to the edge at all times.
So they've been forbidden.
Bum, bum, bum. They're on Alpha Island, and but they're told that they're over there because they are in a specialized, exclusive branch of the military.
Oh, so they all got drafted?
Basically.
Okay.
Once you're an alpha, you basically get drafted.
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of like the police force. I know.
Man, we are only like a paragraph into this story. And
Well, we're an
coming with the
hour.
hot takes.
We are an hour and 22 minutes into recording, so this makes sense.
Yeah,
now.
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Sirens then go off, and they get up and they're like, ugh, another drill. And they get their kids, they take them to beta teachers, and then the two Omegas, Ava and
Right.
Hazel, go to their special Omega room. It is all alpha resistant should they ever escape their military island.
Goddamn. All right.
So
You have to do a Sudoku to get in the door. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't do that if you're a barbarian.
we learn a little more. I'm going to say this a little out of order because like the way in which we learn about the rules is a bit more staggered. But because they're Omegas, they're like the only two in the whole city of Lincoln City. They basically have like government housing in which they have everything they want. They have to take their suppressants all the time to like stave off their heats. And at the end of every week, they bag up their like sweaters because it's or like pants or whatever because it has their scent on it, and it is sent. They're doing their duty and sending their scent to the alphas to make them stay sane. This is another kind of rule that without something to stave off the alpha craze, like they will go crazy. So they need to like just scent an Omega sometimes.
Gotcha.
That's been in a few that I've read. So I don't know if that's a whole worldwide
Not
thing.
as much, but it's definitely
But it's
something.
popular.
Yeah, especially it's like if it's the same thing with the Omega thing where it's like if you deny yourself for long enough, then you will go crazy.
Yeah. So then we switch to Abel. And he's an alpha. He is the other POV that we get. He hears the sirens again from his place on the island. And we just kind of hear his internal monologue. He's been on this island for 10 years. So he's presumably 28. We hear Hazel and Ava are around 24, 25. The alphas are all training on the island. And they're doing just like hand-to-hand combat. And Abel's friend, Draven.
Spell it.
Wow.
Draven.
Why?
Why not? Dystopian future.
This
Yep.
person thought Draco Malfoy and Raven, as in that's a Raven, and just
Yeah.
went, I'm going to do a thing with that.
Well, he keeps going, huh? That's me. So,
Draven.
So,
Draven.
after training, they're all kind of talking, and Draven comes up to Abel and is, I can't say these names seriously if you're going to keep laughing. He says, hey, a new person just got on the island. It's a little boy.
What's his
And
name?
Casmius.
We don't know, but presumably it is Connor from Hazel's class. But Casmius for short. Casmius if you're nasty. All we hear is that it's a little boy, and Abel's like, that should be impossible. We don't present till we're 18. And he goes up to one of the guards who he historically does not get along with. And he's like, this can't be true. Tell me that's not true. And the guard kind of like negs him, and then they get into a fist fight, and the guard's like, you just bought yourself a month of solitary without your treats. And they're like, huh?
No walkies.
Well, treats being the Omega sense that they get
Sure,
sent.
yeah.
It goes back to Hazel, class Mrs. Connor. So Hazel is trying to like stay upbeat about it, but she's like, why don't we all, because she has no idea where the fuck he went. He goes, why don't we all like write a card for him? And they make a card, and she's going to the main office, and she sees Connor's mom. And the mom looks at her and goes, this is all your fucking fault. And she goes and she slaps Hazel. And the guard who like is at the school pulls them apart, and he like protects the Omega. He protects Hazel and is like walks her to the car. And he's like, are you okay? Like, that's not your fault. And she's like, it feels like my fault because me being an Omega must have made him present
Yeah.
early.
Yeah, the scent. Yeah.
And so she goes home and she sees that she has an email saying that she has now been terminated from her position.
No.
And so she gets another, this is how we find out about this. She gets another email saying her garments are due. So she vacuum seals her sweater to send to the island. We go back to Abel. He's in solitary for getting into a fight with a guard over the kid and is denied his allowance. Draven sneaks in a sweater for him, and it calms him down. But then Ryland, who is the evil guard, comes in with a sneer, and he has to, he has to hide the sweater that he just got to for his scent. And Ryland's like, hey, just wanted to let you know, the kid didn't make it. And that's like, he's like laughing about it.
Whoa.
And so Abel is just like, fuck this, something has to change.
Damn.
Back to Hazel. She is spiraling and drinking, which she is not technically allowed to do because they fuck with her suppressants. She's smoking cigarettes and she's
Good for her.
drinking.
Wow.
Ava
And she's probably having grapefruit juice. Sorry, that's a deep cut for people on heart medication.
What?
Never mind.
You hear it here first.
Hey,
Is
if
grapefruit
you're-
juice good?
Our target
it
audience.
can fuck with your heart medication. So hey, if you're on heart medication, make sure you're not drinking a lot of grapefruit juice.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Check with your doctor before you.
Well, thanks for that. That's,
Yeah,
that's
hey, there
nice
you
to
go.
say.
Yeah,
I do
okay.
love grapefruit juice. Ava comes over and talks some sense into her and calms her down. You know, because Hazel's like, the only thing I had that made me want to get up in the morning was being a teacher, because being an Omega sucks. Like, I hate that there are so many rules. Like, it just, nothing feels right to me. Da 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 da. Ava calms her down and she ends up sleeping over at Hazel's house. But Hazel is like, I'm just gonna go to my spot like one more time. Like, I never need to go again. Like, I know it's a bad idea, but I'm just gonna go. And so she goes and she rolls down the window of her car to smoke, and she accidentally gets a whiff of alpha, and she loses it. She's like, oh my god. And she goes home immediately and she takes 2 doses of suppressants. But that has started like kind of a chain reaction in her body. Back to Abel. He is forming a plan to escape because that was the last straw.
Okay, good.
What the government is doing to them is wrong, and he wants the world to know that what they are all taught about alphas is not true, that they're just people.
Right.
And like the same drugs work on them as the Omegas and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Another inmate named Reed, that one's pretty normal,
Yep.
also feels the same way and somehow gets Abel the proof of like literal documents of saying
Forged, like a forged passport or something like that.
no, he gets in the documents saying like, oh, we as a reader, we don't know what it is yet, but basically it's like, this is the truth about alphas, like they're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Got
like
it.
that kind of stuff.
Got it.
And proof of what the government is doing is wrong, basically keeping alphas and omegas apart.
Their Area 51 papers.
Yes.
Yeah, like they're anonymous leaks. Yeah.
So he's
The
planning his
WikiLeaks.
escape.
The
Yeah.
WikiLeaks.
He has the WikiLeaks. So he's, now that he has the proof, he's starting to formulate his plan to basically get off the island and go and tell the world, basically.
Right.
Back to Hazel. She has upped her dose, but she cannot stop thinking about the alpha scent. She has never scented one before. And so it is like triggering for her. She starts looking up online of like just the history and lore of alphas and omegas, and all of her sites keep getting blocked. Like, she'll be on it for a second and the government like...
Locks her out.
Yes,
Man, fuck
pretty
the
much.
government.
I mean, book that. But we learned that it's basically only the United States that's like this. They, you know, as kids, they learn that Canada is the lawless country, and that if you're an Omega up in Canada, you're free bait. And
I'm really
like,
enjoying the world building of this,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
I'm actually trying really hard because the last book you guys were so like with. So I'm like, I actually have to give you more background this time.
Yeah.
And not just go straight to the sex scenes. So, and she's learning more about that, and because of the scent and because she's thinking about it so much, her heat symptoms have like triggered,
Right.
and she usually has suppressants, so she's able to like really push it down. And when it does come, it's very on a schedule. It's a quarterly, if you will. And she used to have beta partners, or she has her trusty vibrator, which leads me to number 1, in which she breaks out her vibrator, and I call it Emily's search history will never be the same. And it's I found it's called bigshocked.com.
what?
There is a
Nice.
because I looked it up. I go, because it's a knotted vibrator is what she uses.
Oh.
Yes, she uses an alpha vibrator because that's the biology demands it.
Right.
Makes sense.
And it expands. It knots like when you push a button. And so I was like,
Does that exist?
oh yes, they do.
What?
There are not the whole button part, but there are knotted dildos.
Interesting.
And there are tentacle dildos.
Oh, I know.
And
the
there
whole-
are.
I
Yes, we do know about that
I
one.
know about the tentacle dildos, but the knotted dildos are new to me.
Do they
So-
like actually like
They
create
are-
that kind of like suction, that locked in like? I mean, I got
Every woman's body
What
is
are the
different.
mechanics?
yeah.
of
Like,
this?
is it knotted in that like it is just a flared base dildo,
It's
or is
basically-
it knotted
it's-
and they're like
From
it's
what
gonna,
I've seen,
like-
and I didn't see all of them, but like picture a dildo. I'm holding my water bottle for people at
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
Yes.
And then here's the actual base, and then right here at
Right.
the
It's a little
very
thicker.
It's like more thick.
Yeah.
It looks.
Okay.
I thought it was balls at first.
Yeah, because
looks
what
like
I was
balls.
picturing was like the one that the sex
The balls
toy-
are on the inside.
the dildo that you sold me that had the thing where it like
Yeah, I have that one too.
like it kind of expands a little bit.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah,
fun fact for people at
but
home.
not a lot.
I
Not
used
like
to-
a not.
Yeah, I used to peddle sex toys from Athena's Home Novelties. I no
Yeah,
longer
she
work
used
for
to be
them,
a
but
sex
I'm a
toy
big fan of that.
salesperson.
Go to Athena's Home Novelties if you ever need any of that.
Yeah.
But
But not that.
not
like
that.
just a dildo.
No, it's
Okay.
it's like a dildo.
Got it.
But yeah, I had to look it up. So if that's something you're into, people, I'm not personally, but hashtag no
There
king
you
shaming
go.
on Christmas, bigshocked.com, and we can put that in the link tree.
Sure.
So she is using it so much that it breaks, and she's like,
Girl,
and
been there.
and so,
I'm so
and it was
sorry.
just heat symptoms. It was not her full heat, I should say. So
Okay.
she goes one last time. She's like, okay, my vibrator's broken. I just need that scent one more time. And she goes to her spa and decides to get out of the car, which then I wrote, big mistake. And she's
Mistake.
and she's standing there. She gets like, her car is a bit further away. She goes like up to the chain link fence, and she's getting a whiff of alphas, but it's not anything like it was before. It's more intense this time, and there's something more specific about it that's making her inner Omega be like, this is like, that's our alpha.
Who could it be?
Well, then she sees and hears the fence rattle, and she realizes somebody is climbing over the fence. Cut to Abel, who escaped with the papers, saying
Nice.
alphas and omegas should be
Thank
together.
God, I think there was a moment where Jess and I both shared a look where we were really worried when she first sent the alpha scent out in her spot, where we're like, oh fuck, is it gonna be Connor and like
Oh God,
Yeah, I
no!
was
This
a
is
little
not.
nervous.
This is not Renesmee in Twilight.
Thank
This is
God.
not a kid.
Good.
Good. Great.
So, Abel has escaped. He somehow commandeered a boat. They really gloss over the escape,
Yeah, I don't care.
but he gets off the island, and I think he either had a boat or he swam, and he was like, "It's pretty easy." And again, he's been on this island for 10 years training. He is like jacked. He has a bag of the papers and like the heavy grade suppressants, basically.
Okay.
And he just went for it. And he is drawn to Hazel's scent, but he has a shitload of suppressants on him and in him, so he is not like alpha
not
crazed.
overwhelmed, yeah.
But he's just like, that's a good scent, and so he goes to it. They kind of fight, they grapple, if you will, a D&D term.
Ooh.
And but she's no
Yes,
match.
good job.
It takes her
Thank
a
you.
full action to escape from the grapple.
She's no match for this highly trained alpha. So
Obviously.
he kind of restrains her and puts her in the car in the passenger seat, and he's very adamant. He's like, listen, I'm not going to hurt you. You're kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I can't have
I gotta
you
get the fuck
tell
out of
anyone.
here.
Yeah.
They drive to like an abandoned parking lot, and by now they hear the sirens happening of an alert that means
Yeah.
an alpha has escaped the island. She is like panicking, freaking out, because all of her education up until this point has been like, alphas are bad. They
Yeah.
want to kill you. They want to
Propaganda.
rape you and kill you.
Yep.
They learn each other's names, and she is convinced that he convinces her. Oh, I'm sorry. She is convinced that he is going to hurt her, and his inner alpha sees how scared she is and wants to protect.
Yep. Protect.
He want to protect, and Omega
Not attack.
no, and Omega
Protect.
want to submit.
Yep.
But she is also scared.
As you do.
And so again, he's very much like, I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I just need a place to lay low. And since I know that you're an Omega, you have a heavily guarded house in which we can hole up in for a few days.
Yeah.
Fair.
They drive through the now abandoned town because the sirens have gone off and everyone has fled. They go to her apartment building. They get shot at once by like some sort of sniper. Again, kind of glossed over, but it's clearly like, oh, that might be the alpha. They shoot at it. They both are fine.
Yeah.
They get out. They go into the apartment. And who is there but Ava? She is worried about Hazel. She wanted them to leave the city together. Oh, no. And Hazel begs Abel to let Ava leave.
Okay.
Ava's like, I'm not leaving you. And Hazel's like, no, I will be a willing
Yeah.
hostage. Just let her go. She won't say anything. Like, my life depends on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. He's just like, yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to do anything.
I don't want to kill anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm here for.
And so she leaves, and they are now hole up in this apartment for presumably the next like couple of days. He sets,
Just
She's
enough
like-
time for a heat. Weird.
Yeah. and
who
for her
does
to
that?
get like really bored and read a bunch of papers to find out that he's not as bad after all.
So he set some ground rules. It's, one, don't go near the door, don't try to attack me, and don't interfere with my plans. And he, it's something we haven't really touched on, but like, when alphas use a certain tone, omegas can get very just like goopy.
Sure, yeah.
And so she starts getting turned on just by him listing these rules. And she's like, this doesn't compute. And so
Yeah, the voice is a big thing. It
or
didn't
like
come
tone of voice.
Yeah, it didn't come up in my fic, but yeah, that can be a thing.
And usually
The
when you
alpha
read
voice.
it,
Yeah, sure.
and apparently, I mean, in some, I think it's in this one. I'm kind of getting it mixed up with some Dramini omegas. But when omegas also have a tone in which it will compute to the alpha, and it's usually, if you're reading it, it's in italics. So you
Gotcha.
as a reader, you know that it's a different voice, basically.
Yep.
Actually, I think it is in this one. She goes to her room. Abel calls his friends on the walkie-talkie, and he finds out that they've all escaped.
Great.
And he sees that
Hey,
no...
bro, we followed your lead.
Yeah.
Revolution.
Well, they're like trying to like get to radio towers and
Yeah.
TV stations and stuff like
Nice.
that.
We got to get the word out, man.
Yeah, so he started like a full-on
Revolution.
fucking revolution.
Fuck yeah.
Good for him.
He sees that no army is moving in though, and he's very suspicious about that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they should have mobilized by now. But also in his internal monologue, they're like, oh, we have been trained. Like, I'm sure we are no match. They are no match for us. These beta kids with guns basically
Yeah.
are no match for all these alphas that have been highly trained. Hazel takes a shower. She comes out to see Abel in just some gray sweatpants making some food. They eat together, and he kind of calls her out for her self-destructive behavior. He sees the cigarettes and the wine around, and he know they've all been they've been
Dad.
taught to like that it's not good for them, and the fact that she was coming that close to Alpha Island, and he doesn't understand because as an Omega, she should have everything she wants, and she's he's looking
Yeah.
around at this plush thing, and he's kind of like in a bad mood because as an Alpha, he got everything taken away, and it
Right.
looks like the Omegas have everything given to them.
Yeah.
She kind of it gets into like a verbal fight of sorts, and she kind of ends up saying like she hates what she is, she hates herself, and she just starts sobbing. And he immediately is like, I must make her feel better, so he puts his arms around her, and she sobs into his chest. And the fact that she's that close makes him start purring.
And purring. We didn't cover purring.
And there's a purr that's starting to happen, but neither of them have ever experienced that before. But he knows from reading that that's something that only happens around your mate.
Yours is a much more animalistic version of the Omegaverse compared to mine.
In anything I've read, it's usually primal kink and
Yeah.
breeding kink are the two biggest ones.
Yeah. I would say
So-
fanfic definitely leans more into the like breeding kink side, and then primal kink is really specific to the fandom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only read a couple that use purring as a device.
And she doesn't know any of this though, but this is just his internal monologue.
Yeah.
She also starts purring, and then his thigh, which is somehow ended up between her legs, gets incredibly damp from the slick.
Interesting.
And he basically asks for her consent. He's like, listen, and he's still on his suppressants. She is not. And he goes, can I help you out here? And she goes, yes. So he hoists her onto his lap, which leads to number 2, called Sucking on My Glands.
Yeah.
Again, I forgot what I named these.
Look, someone's got to express those glands.
And I said, and it's just dry, and then parentheses, well, wet, humping, and gland licking.
Will.
So he's grinding. Oh, did you guys make a joke? I'm just
It's okay.
Will made a gross joke.
It was a good that I kept going over.
Yeah.
Keep going.
She's
Please tell us more about licking these glands.
she's just dry humping him, and he's licking her glands on the neck, and then she comes out of her haze as soon as she kind of comes.
Yeah.
And she freaks out and runs into her room, makes sure she changes all her clothes because his scent is on them as well as her. So coming out of her haze, and she freaks out and runs.
She's doing just fine.
Gotta be down because her glands
telling
are
him.
slick.
One and all.
So the next morning, he's acting normal, and she gets pissed off by it. They talk, and she wants him to just let her go. And he gets annoyed because he's like, aren't you following my rules? And he says he's going to tie her up again if she asks about breaking the rules. And that makes her all hot and bothered. And he can scent it. So, again, we kind of get more allusions to her quote-unquote self-destructive behavior.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they're across the table. And she gets up and puts her hands on it and leans forward. And is like, let me go. And he's like, all right. And he throws her over his shoulder and throws her onto the bed.
Hot.
And he had some zip ties with him, so he
Nice.
zip ties her hands behind her back.
Oh.
Okay.
Less.
yeah, I thought it was going to the bedpost.
Yeah.
Well, they're in the living room on the couch. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you said bad.
okay.
Sorry, I misread that.
It should have been
All right,
bad.
let's take it again.
And he throws her over the shoulder and leads her to the couch in the living room.
Okay.
And throws her on the couch face first and like not harsh, but zip ties her hands behind her back.
Not as hot.
Yeah, lots of crumbs.
He gags her as well and realizes that she actually wants this. And so she wants this so they can end, like, at the end of this, bang, and she won't feel guilty about it. She wants to, like, neg him into doing this so it feels more like she didn't have a choice.
And he comes to that conclusion because she is...
Of all her actions.
Because of smells,
basically, and the fact that, again, he's still on his suppressants. He has full control.
No, don't tie me up.
So he throws her on the couch and says he'll remove the gag if she gets off. And she agrees, and
She's gonna get off already.
yeah. So he like kind of lifts her up, puts a pillow under her,
Excellent.
and he's like, "Go for it!" And she watches her pillow hump, and that I call that number 3. That pillow is going to be ruined.
You don't know that. Maybe she's Scotch guarded.
Honestly, with the amount of slick that they talk about, it's gonna be ruined. They gotta throw it away. So after that, he's just like, "Cool, I'm gonna go get supplies," and she's like, "Aren't you going to untie me?" And he's like, "No, you're going to stay here." And she's like, "Fuck." And so he leaves to get supplies and food, and he realizes that she's probably going to go into heat soon. And he doesn't really know what to get her, but he's like, bath bombs, scented candles, like something fuzzy.
That's cute.
That's sweet.
I like that.
And he comes back and he cares for her. So her heat is about to start, and she basically propositions him. He asks for consent. And he's like, "Are you really sure you want this?" And she's like, "Absolutely yes." And she drops to her knees for number 4. It only takes a taste, in which she
love a good waitress reference.
You're welcome. She gives him a blowjob, and then before any more happens, this massive cramp comes on.
Ooh.
And he jumps into action, and he makes her a nest, which we did not really cover.
Oh shit!
Nesting is big.
I thought that I had extensive notes, and we keep finding shit that we
There's
didn't cover.
only like a handful.
Yeah.
A nest is something in which in all the things I've read, it's,
Me too. It's a big
lot
thing in
of
mine too, yeah.
blankets, pillows,
Yeah.
and just making it.
I know Nest. Anytime I'm on any kind of hallucinogen, like if
Yep.
every
Yes.
time I've done like shrooms, or
Cocooning
acid,
yourself.
I nest. I'm a hardcore nester.
Yep, I want comfy space, and that's supposed to be something. In some fics, that is like a sign that the heat is coming.
Yeah, they
is
nest.
like,
Gotcha.
oh, I'm nesting. Oh shit, it's happening because I'm like preparing. This is my biological
Or
way
like
of
the
preparing.
alpha will make one for her, and she has a whole closet of like cashmere blankets and pillows, and they make a whole nest on the bed. And it's funny, yesterday was a really bad storm in Chicago, and I was watching my roommate's dog, and I made a nest for the dog.
Oh, yeah.
And she was so happy, and I was like, it works, it's real.
I do this. I mean, there is something like there is an itch that is scratched if you just are like, I'm gonna put all the pillows around me.
I nest almost every night, I guess.
Yeah.
I must
I
be
do
ready
too.
for it.
Let's be
But like,
honest.
I'm just like, there's a certain point of the night where I'm like, cool, I'm gonna sit on my couch. I want to be cozy, and I don't want to get up for any reason. That means I need everything that I might possibly want for the rest of the night.
you know what,
within
listeners?
arm's
Bring a
reach.
picture on the coffee
Listeners,
table.
followers, if you make nests at home, send us your pictures. Add us. Add us with your
Yes.
nest.
Actually, yes, I
That
really
I would
want
love
to
to
see
see.
everyone's
I'll
Everyone's
lead the
nest.
charge.
I'll try and make a
Okay.
nest for Millie again, that my roommate's dog, and
Yeah.
I'll put a picture of that, and let's do this. You know what? Let's normalize nesting.
Back to
So
the story.
he jumps into action and makes jumps into
it's
action
fine.
and makes a nest for her, and she's so cozy and she's in such a haze that she invites him into her nest,
Ooh, big
which is
deal.
a big deal.
Big deal. A lot of trust involved in that.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And he is honored. He is just like, oh my god, and
Love
they
it.
As
and
he
they go to
should be.
sleep, and she wakes up full heat, feverish, like whimpering, needy.
Oh my god, you're burning up. Let me get all these blankets off you.
Yep. And I wrote, he takes care of her with fingers, ... and mouths, ... and dicks.
Yeah.
Just ... Just so much graphic sex.
Dicks plural.
Which, number 5, now we're getting somewhere.
There we go.
There's just like a ton of sex, and he is just satiating her need, if you will.
Great.
When she's out of her haze, she immediately kicks him out of the bed, and he says, all right, we're leaving in 3 hours. So she's having all these like weird feelings because he was there for her and he took care of her and he hasn't done anything to hurt her, but like what she has been told is that they are bad. So
Yeah.
she's really waffling.
She's fighting her programming.
So they drive to the local news station where he gets all the knobs correct, and he ends up making a speech on air about the truth about the alphas being tortured on the island and trained, and how alphas and omegas should not be separated, but they're actually meant to be together.
And then he fucks her on camera.
Yes. And this is the first time she's hearing all of this. She did not read the papers. And so she's like, oh my God, because this kind of makes sense. And I should also say that he has used her laptop a few times, and he has seen that she went on these like government banned
that
sites.
she was trying to learn the truth.
She was trying to learn. Yeah. So he's like, okay, she wants to know, but she just still is like, has a wall up.
Yeah.
So all this is happening. She's like, I just don't know what to think. All of a sudden, 3 beta civilians come into the station with guns and are like, they are here to rescue their Omega. Their city's Omega is being captured and tortured by this alpha. And so they shoot Abel. And they are going to finish him off. They shoot him in the chest.
I don't know why. I really just heard they were betas and was like, they're going to be grossly incompetent at this.
I know. I was hoping for that.
Like, I'm imagining the banana guard from Adventure Time. Anytime you're talking about a beta.
He is wearing, unbeknownst to them, he is wearing a bulletproof vest.
Smart.
They are about to finish him off and shoot him in the head when Hazel is like, don't let him suffer. You know, he'll know that he was bested by some betas, and he'll just bleed out. And they're like, good idea. That's a real good idea.
Okay,
and
now,
okay, great.
There you go,
now
Will.
There you go. Great.
So they take her, they drive with her to Maitland City, and the whole time it's like an hour or two away.
Alpha, yay.
Yeah, it's an hour or 2 away. And the whole time they're just like, so what's it like being Omega? Like, that must be pretty cool. And she's like, I don't want to talk to you.
Damn, everyone must want to fuck you. That's great.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And they keep saying like we rescued our Omegas. Like, this is ours. And she's like, no one's fucking
Dude, if I was an Omega, I just like have sex all the time. Like, I just say yes to everyone.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate all of this.
Same. So she goes to Maitland City, and she is reunited with Ava at the local center or whatever.
Yeah.
And the police are like questioning her, being like, did you help this alpha? And she's like, I don't know. And Ava's like, hey, you don't need to fucking talk to her anymore. And she takes her home.
Great.
To her mother's house. We learned that Hazel's family, once she presented as an Omega, was like, all right, bye. Like, we don't.
Aww.
And they left. And
Poor Hazel.
which is different from Ava's mom, who was like, no, like, I'm always here for you. I'll be here. I can't move there. Like, you have to be placed here, blah, blah, but I'm here for you. Yeah. Ava tells her the story of how she got out of the city, and in which a random alpha found her and helped her get out of the city.
Sequel?
And now...
Hey.
Sequel.
Yep.
Sniff that out in a second flat.
I believe it's coming out in late April. Just so you guys know.
Okay.
And so she's inclined to believe the message that she has just heard be broadcast, and it went viral. It went all over the country. Things are happening now. Hazel goes to Ava's house, sleeps over. She turns on the news and sees that Abel took over the broadcast again and said that Connor is dead. Because that's the little boy that was brought to the island that he didn't know, and unbeknownst to him was Hazel's student. So she is now mourning this little boy. She realizes she misses Abel. A cop the next morning comes to the house to arrest her, and as she's talking to him on the porch, he is shot and killed.
Yay.
She looks around, and Abel somehow comes out of nowhere.
Yes.
And
Abel
it's like,
for the win.
and it's
Hot.
like, hey baby, sorry I took so long.
Hot.
And she's like, wait, what?
Sorry it took so long to bring home the bacon.
To fry up the bacon. And so Abel comes out of nowhere, shoots him, and says, hey, I just learned that Connor isn't dead, and I need your help.
Oh, man.
And
Government conspiracy?
Government conspiracy.
Nice.
Shit. And so she's like, I can't believe you just killed someone. That's wrong, but also let's go save this kid.
Yeah.
So they drive to an abandoned laboratory.
Fine.
And they go through, it's abandoned like zombie apocalypse style. Like, things are broken and left over. There's no one there, but they sent this kid, and they find him alone in a room. And he's like, Miss Hazel? Like, because it's his teacher.
Yeah.
And immediately Abel is like, we got you, little dude. And so they like take him, and they have been in contact with the parents, and they bring him back to the parents, and they like go into hiding because this little boy's an alpha.
Yeah.
And so as they do that, they see the happy reunion, and Abel turns to Hazel and was like, hey, I can't stay here. I am
Yeah.
a rebel / terrorist, I guess, technically.
I have to free all of the United States.
So I'm going to go seek asylum in Canada because they are welcoming me with open arms. And I want you to go back and I want you to blame this all on me. So you're not in trouble with the cops anymore. You can say like you helped rescue the kid from me, and the parents are ready to corroborate any story, and I'm doing this for you. And she kind of just stands there and is like, you can't leave. And he's like, if you don't go, I'm gonna probably take you with me because I really love you. And she just is like, I don't know what to do. And so he's like, here we go, and scoops her up, puts her in a car, and they drive straight to Canada.
Yay, Canada!
Nice.
And Canada welcomes them with open arms, and this happens, and they're put in government housing, so they have a whole house to themselves.
I'm picturing very Handmaid's Tale style, like, refugees.
Nice house.
Yeah.
I have not seen Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, in Handmaid's Tale, the people that escape from Gilead, the United States, go to Canada, and they're basically refugees, and they get put into a program.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And this luckily happens just as the rut starts. A rut is the alpha version of a heat. Pretty much.
Sure.
So they start banging hardcore.
Nice.
For 2 weeks, they're
Nice.
banging. They're living in happiness. And one day she wakes up and she sees a ring has been placed on her finger. Aww. And so now they're living happily ever after. Ava has come up and visited a few times saying, hey, we've started a national Omega council. And we're letting alphas and omegas be together. And there's a lot of work, but you cannot come back to the United States. So I'll come visit you. But, like, I hope you're happy. And then HEA, happily ever after. And that's, what did I call it? Forbidden.
Forbidden Alphas.
Forbidden, the Alphas book first.
I love that.
Oh, sorry. Possession. I'm sorry. Possession.
Possession.
The series is called Forbidden Alphas.
Got it.
Okay.
So that was that.
That was great.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so for my game,
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
I either wanted, I have two, and we don't have to do both, but I want to say, A, do you think you're alpha, omega, beta? And there's no shame in being any of them. Or two, I just kind of put some famous people down on a list, and I want us to say what they are. They're characters. They're characters in
excellent.
movies or TV
I like
shows.
both of these games.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do what do you think you are first? Because I texted Jessica, and I'm like, I'm 99% sure I'm an omega.
Yeah.
I am a.
Do we have to
more-
say why do you think you're an omega?
I think I am more prone to letting someone decide things for me, like at the end of the day. Like if I'm with a partner and I've just had a full day of work. I mean, I know this is not the comparable
Sure.
to what we just read, but like this
Yeah.
is my real life version of it. It's like I worked all day and I had to tell people what to do.
Yep.
Can you pick what we're fucking eating for dinner and tell me that that's what we're doing even if I don't want it? Like, can you make decisions for me? And like, I need to be taken care of sometimes. And
Yep.
like, it's just little things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'd fall into that. Just generally in that sense.
Yeah.
I get
So
that.
what do you guys think?
I think I'm probably an alpha, just for literally the opposite reasons of that. Like, I am often like the decision maker or the caretaker that like I'm gonna be the one that steps up, and like also I'm a little bit dominant in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm a little bit of that
Yeah.
alpha energy. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, also, I guess I'm super fertile, right? So like,
Congratulations.
I am
Yeah.
just the most fertile. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I have no idea. I just- disclaimer: I actually don't know if I'm super fertile. Jess,
So, in addition to talking to my therapist about how gender is a construct and all of that stuff, I've also been talking.
this is all just for fun too.
Yeah.
Like this, yeah. I just
I know, but this has come up. Not alpha
There
and
are-
omega, but like
okay.
yeah. But I am, and I would be an omega with more masculine presenting partners, and I am more of an alpha with more feminine presenting partners.
Okay.
I find when I am with women that I'm very much the like, let me put my arm around you, let me figure
Right.
out what we're doing, let
Yeah.
me take charge. Whereas with more masculine partners, I'm like, you fucking do it. I'm gonna lay here, and and that's what works for me.
Sure.
But yeah, that has been a very interesting journey for me. And
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely, I am a true switch,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on
I
which
could see
thing.
that.
But like biologically, it's not real, so who knows?
Yeah, again.
Well,
yeah.
and there's like, I will say there are like moments where like I definitely am more of an Omega, like in moments. Like you talk about like everybody's got.
I think I'm the
duality
same
to
as
them,
you.
for sure.
In
Like,
moments, I'm more alpha, like in a protective
Oh yeah,
sense.
like at
Sure.
work, I am alpha, but like in my intimate relationships, it's
Right.
interesting because there's a very clear delineation based on masculine versus feminine presentingness in
our
in the
friendship.
person.
In our friendship, what are we?
I'm the alpha.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. with all of my female friends, with very few exceptions, I feel like I'm the dominating.
Although I try and
presence.
cuddle with you all the time, and you tolerate it, you don't accept it with open arms, and
Because-
that hurts my heart. Sorry, sometimes I need to
I
grow.
feel like I'm very
Wow.
welcoming to you.
I think
Let's
you-
get into this.
I think you've become welcoming to me.
well, yeah, the first time because you are
I do
the-
force it on you.
You are one of the only straight female friends that I've
Sorry.
ever known that's like, I'm gonna put my arm, I'm gonna link
Oh,
elbows,
I am
or
the most-
I'm gonna hold
I'm
hands.
a very touchy-feely
You're a
person.
very touchy-feely
Yeah.
person, and so it did take a moment for me to adjust to it. But now when you do that, I'm like, yeah, that's what Emily does.
Yeah. Sometimes I just need a cuddle.
Yeah.
You know? I do it with people on Riv too, and I don't think I ever said anything explicitly. Like
No.
I've done it to you.
Yeah,
Ben Offshore, Benny Bear. I'm always like,
once, you were like, by the way, I just do this a lot. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah,
okay,
sure.
cool.
You get used
I'm
to
sorry.
it. There's
but-
nothing wrong with it.
I just do it. That's
I get
good.
that.
So I'm glad
Yeah,
that we got that settled.
Give me your list, though.
So-
I'm very interested.
These are just random pairings, and they're not like couple pairings, just
Sure.
like people from things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll start out with I was watching Ted Lasso today.
Excellent.
So Ted Lasso and Rebecca from Ted Lasso. I think it's
Ooh.
pretty clear as to what Rebecca is.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
an alpha
she's an
for
alpha.
Sure. I
But-
think Ted would be an Omega.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. He's a people pleaser in that way. you
Yeah,
know?
I agree. Yeah, I don't know because he has enough moments of like kind of dominance that he might be a beta. Like he might be more middle of
Yeah.
the road than Omega.
I think he swings between beta and alpha because he's not a traditional alpha in the sense of these books in which it's dominant. It's like a silent
soft
and friendly
dominance.
dominance. Yeah. So I think that's interesting, especially in
mean-
the episode today. If no one's watched it,
I haven't watched it yet.
I think too. Like, I mean, what Ted Lasso win? Season 1, early Ted Lasso.
True,
No,
he does.
don't-
He does change. So
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to you.
Progression.
I feel like as much as he is a like clinical people pleaser, at least especially in the beginning, like that to me is very like Omega. The like, it doesn't matter if he has power or control. Ultimately the other person in the like pairing with him is always going to have more control because
Yeah.
he wants so desperately for them to like him. And
That's fair. That's very fair.
Number 2, Han Solo and Leia from Star Wars.
just
Leia's
both
the alpha.
alphas.
They're both alphas.
They're both
I think they're
alphas.
both alphas.
Yeah.
They're both alphas,
Yeah.
and that's why they got
Yeah,
divorced.
that's why they don't work.
I don't want to talk about it. That's pretty easy. I tried to pick things that everyone would know. No
Oh
matter
yeah.
what.
Yeah.
No, you're doing great.
Number 3, Kermit and Miss Piggy,
Oh well,
because Miss Piggy is an alpha,
definitely an alpha.
and I think Kermit is a beta.
I'd agree.
He's a high status beta.
I think Miss Piggy is an Omega masquerading as an alpha.
Ooh. I'm actually, now that you said that,
I love that this is a
can
hot
see-
take.
because she will submit to Kermit no matter
Yes.
what. Like
Yes.
when
There's
Kermit
too
has
much
that
Kermit.
voice.
Like there's too much
Right.
of that
And
for
he's
her
like,
to be a true
well,
alpha.
and she's needy.
Yes.
Which is a little bit more Omega.
Yes,
so.
I think she.
Takes
I think
one to know one right here. I
she
get
puts
it.
up a good She puts
thought
up
you
a
were
good
talking
front.
shit on me for a
I was like,
second.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think she puts up a good front, but like
Yeah.
in her core, she wants to be taken care
I just
of.
don't
know
know if
what?
Kermit's an alpha though. I feel like he's a
I
beta,
think he's a beta.
with alpha tendencies.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a beta that's been thrust into the role of an alpha that has to try and wrangle all these Muppets.
With
to put
great
on a show
power
every
comes
week.
great responsibility.
Side question: which Muppet is an alpha?
Animal.
Yeah.
Gonzo.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
He knows who he is. He knows what he's about. He doesn't give a
Rizzo.
fuck. Oh, Rizzo's
Rizzo's
has
an alpha
big
for
dick
sure.
energy. Oh fuck. You know who else is? Not Dr. Teeth. Oh, what's his name? From Electric Mayhem. He plays the guitar. He's the red one.
Oh,
He
I
just
know.
has a
I can
silent
picture it.
confidence
Yeah.
about him that fucks.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
red Muppet fucks.
Sam the Eagle. Sam the Eagle.
Sam
alpha
the
for
Eagle.
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is he compensating? Is
No,
he
I
also a beta with tendencies?
Ooh, he might be beta.
he might
You're
be
right.
beta.
Swedish Chef is definitely a beta.
Fozzie is definitely an Omega.
Yeah, Fozzy's an Omega if I ever
This
saw
should have
one.
been the full
See,
fucking
I think
game.
Gonzo's an Omega. You said he
No,
was an
I
alpha,
think
but...
because the chickens submit to him so hard.
or does he submit to chickens?
What's your next? We gotta move on. What's your next?
Might be controversial. James Bond. I think he's a beta. I think he's compensating, and I think he's a beta with good gadgets and confidence.
Here's the thing: the character James.
It is the
Bond
character, not the actor.
Is an alpha.
Yeah,
I think different actors
that.
might go more beta or not. I don't think. They
Yeah,
ever get to full
I would
Omega,
say
but
alpha as well.
Just the character themselves in the mythos of who James Bond is in the wide world is an alpha.
And then
I agree.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Troy and Abed from Community.
Oof. I mean,
Abed is an alpha.
yeah.
I think Abed's
and
an alpha.
Troy is an Omega. Absolutely.
I think Troy's a beta.
No.
I don't know if he's full on Omega because with certain
Are you
partners,
kidding?
with
My
certain,
emotions.
with certain
Yeah.
partners, he's like
But Troy
when him and
is-
Britta are dating, he's
But he's
No,
but he's with Britta, who's I would call Britta an alpha,
alpha,
as
for
well.
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I was kind of waffling
only
between Omega
way-
and Beta, but I went Beta.
Listen, the only way that I can conceive of Troy and Abed is with Annie in a throuple.
because
And
of
so
that one fan fiction.
it ruined me for life.
Which
and
we,
so
again, talk about things I wish we maybe would have done on this pod.
listen,
and
in
this
the
season.
finale, I'll give you a quick rundown.
Great.
But like in my brain, that means Abed is alpha,
Yeah.
Troy is Omega, and
Yeah,
Annie's
Annie's
Beta.
Beta's for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, she's
I get that.
absolutely Beta.
yeah.
and that was my game.
Oh, great game!
Thank you.
Excellent ending game.
Thank you, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we done did it.
We did. I liked Omegaverse. I liked it a lot.
Omegaverse is
Yeah.
really
It's
fun.
fun once you understand the the terms and conditions
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
It's fun to explore.
But you
Which-
can see why it's an undertaking for us. So we're like, this
Yes,
seems,
yeah.
it feels like a lot.
It's a whole world.
It's like it is its own subgenre in
Absolutely.
of itself, certainly.
I'm interested, honestly, because I've watched it grow over the last 10 years. I'm really interested to see if it keeps growing and like
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
evolves. Because like I've kind of seen it from the very first Sherlock Omegaverse fic kind of grow into what it is now, where now it's on Kindle Unlimiteds, where
Yeah.
I always thought it was like it's weird enough that I always thought it would just stay in fan fiction. So I'm very interested to see if it continues to like move into the mainstream.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for the last time, can you give us some ratings
Yeah,
out of
absolutely.
5 raccoons and trash cans?
I think to start with, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Omegaverse as the
Absolutely,
trope,
yeah.
because I think I really enjoyed it. It gave me enough of that like tension and the drama. Like I think a lot of the tropes that both of your stories hit on are ones that I really enjoy, and I just. I really love the idea of this decentralized storytelling tradition that has emerged of like a community coming together and deciding on the rules of this genre is such a cool thing, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
thing of like nobody really has ownership of Omegaverse, but we can kind of together collaborate and talk about what it means.
Yeah.
And that is such a neat thing that I think you don't see in a lot of other art forms.
It's one of my favorite things about fandom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is very cool. I really enjoyed both of these stories. I especially like I think going into it too, you were talking about the way that like the alphas like it takes over and they gotta, and the omegas like they're a different person that have to give in to their urges. And I was a little bit worried about like where it was gonna get in the like terms of like consent and like
For sure.
sexual
Yeah.
violence. And I think in both of these that wasn't a concern. And I think a big part of that was because the rules of these universes are established, that like this is a thing, that there is care that is built into the like world building around that.
Yeah.
Like there was that the alpha code was like a thing, and there was there are checks and balances on that, which makes it this kind of cool layered thing rather than it just being like overtly that. So
Yeah.
I thought
And
that
we-
was really great.
Yeah, and we definitely tried to, at least in mine, I was like, and he asks for consent. Because, like, when
Yeah.
you read it, it's something that you, as a reader, like, oh, yeah, like, this is him.
Yeah.
This is that's what he's doing. But in my, like, when I'm telling you these stories, I
Sure.
forget that you're not reading it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, I have to say this sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's hard for me as a synopsizer to,
And there
like,
definitely are some like dark
Sure.
fucking ones
Yeah.
where that does not come into play, but the ones I read are the ones
Same.
very much focused on more of the caretaking aspect of
Yeah.
it, which is what
Same.
I wanted to bring. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
you liked that.
there's always
Yeah,
mention of
absolutely.
like this could happen, like an alpha
The
could.
threat is-
the
yeah.
threat's always there, but who you're reading about, that would never happen,
Right. Well,
because
and
they're a good
that's
person.
Like you get the freedom to explore those kind of more primal, lustful things. That, like, is part of what these stories are for. Is the escapism of like, yeah, in real life you wouldn't do this because it would be, you know,
Yeah.
like, a little
I don't want to be
creepy or
thrown over
borderline.
someone's shoulder.
Exactly.
I mean,
like that's
it's honestly kind of exploring what good kink would
Yes.
be.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Where it's like, this is a part of it, but baseline, we have consent. We both agree to this. And so now we can get a little weird, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
everyone's okay with
and
it.
I like the reality of these stories. It's like, hey, this is a universe in which this is understood.
Yep.
Like, these kind of baseline things are understood, and we're gonna move forward from that, so that you as the reader can kind of guilt-free enjoy your smut. You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
So I really like that. I thought it was really interesting, just kind of in both of them, the ways in which alpha was used, like, as an allegory. I felt like in yours, there was definitely, like, I could see, like, the queer allegory of, like, Bruce being like, I've suppressed all of these things. I don't want to address them. But now it's happening, and what
Here we
are
are.
people going to think, and
Yeah.
what do I think? And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. That's very interesting. Like, people getting to explore those themes. I felt like yours definitely had like a different, like, otherism theme to it, of the like,
Yeah.
these people are different and they're scary, and they've been otherized, and there's a societal kind of discrepancies to the way that we treat them just based off of, alpha or omega. And like, I think it's very cool the way that this is, a non-existent supernatural
Yeah.
thing that is being explored, and then through that, different writers can project onto that whatever kind of meaning they want to explore.
Yeah, and it definitely, the best ones that I've read, because I've read some that are just like straight up, we're fucking, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
But I've also read some like very kind of more intense plot-wise ones, and a big element in all of them, I think, is shame.
Yeah.
And the way that we deal with shame, and the way that shame enters the bedroom, and kind of like the navigation of that. And a lot of it is like being an Omega, being ashamed of your biology, or like what
or
you
bonding
want.
with someone who you don't want to be bonded with, or like
Yeah.
knowing that you're mates with someone that you don't want to be mated with.
Yeah, and
Like,
having to come to terms with
Right.
that and work through that. And it is like, as a trope, a very good vehicle. I think that a lot of authors have gone, oh, this is a good way for me to explore
Yeah.
what that could be like for this character.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really kind of neat aspect of the Omegaverse as a whole.
Well observed, Will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so smart. You're so
Well,
good.
it's just, I think, I mean, when it really clearly hit me was when Bruce and yours was talking about, like, I don't want to pair with this guy. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, man, I bet there have been plenty of little queer kids out there going, like, I don't want to be in love with this person because then it makes me queer.
But here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I guess we'll live with it.
Yep.
So that was cool. I really like the way that the heat cycle kind of automatically adds this balance of like story and sex, and
Yeah.
that like there's gonna be story and tension happening because we gotta wait for the heat cycle to happen. Oh,
Yeah.
and then here's the heat cycle. So by the way, now you're just getting a bunch of really great smut.
Yep.
With you don't need any more justification.
We get at
because-
least 3 days of fucking.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
So I like the kind of self-imposed balance that imposes on the,
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
You know
stories.
what's kind of nice too is because you're reading this story about like an alpha, and they're usually described as like a big guy, and like he's gonna like he overtakes you in physically, like he is like a large man, he could like protect you, but
Yeah.
he is seen as a caretaker, like
Yeah.
he is gonna make sure he's gonna sit with you and rest you against his chest and
Right.
feed you food because you're in such a sex haze that you can't remember to eat for 3 days, and he's like, here's some cookies, like it's
Yep.
you're like, wow, you don't usually see that with a guy who's saving the world. You don't see that in a
Right.
Again,
Sylvester Stallone movie. I
coming
couldn't-
back to the kink parallels. That's why aftercare is important. All of
Yes.
these things. Yep.
Yep. So ratings.
Ratings. Oh boy, I am going to give the Batman and Joker one a 4 out of 5 raccoons and trash cans.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
That's a very
It's
good.
good.
rating.
It was really good. It really, I felt like that was a fun pairing to do this kind of a thing with. I think the things that they explored within the universe of the Omegaverse with it are very good. I always really enjoy the like moment of like, I knew you wanted to fuck me after they've been doing a little bit of cat and mouse,
Yeah.
like
Their whole relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that moment when the Joker was like, oh, I knew
sensed
it. I could tell this whole time you were Omega. I'm like, because I love that. I love that trope. That whole like, I'm playing hard to get, and one person's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
Go
ahead.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
One day I'll come around.
Oh yeah, go ahead and play those games. So yeah, 4 out of 5. And you know, I think the reason that I didn't give it more is just because, you know, I do like a little bit more story and you know, tension and drama too. And this one was a little bit more, it was a little more pupy than some other ones.
We call it
Pupy.
A little more pupy, but you know, that's you know, it's its own thing for sure. But that's why it's not getting full marks for me.
Fair. I definitely kept it short because I was like, I'm gonna be talking a lot about
about Omegaverse as a whole.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For the other one, I like really a 4.5. Like it is up there. It really it hit all the like checked all the boxes, had some good like narrative world building. I love some world building
for sure.
Had a good amount of sexy times that like all that felt like appropriate to the tension and stuff. It was just a very solid one for me. I think I honestly, I feel like I'm not giving it a 5 out of principle more than anything else. I'm like, maybe it deserves a 5 out of 5. It just feels weird to give marks that high.
You could do whatever you want. And mine came with a recommendation for a dildo website. So I'm just going
you know what? 5 out of 5. You're right. There
Excellent.
it is. Really strong week.
This was a very strong
What are
week.
you
This was a
doing?
great last app.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, for the last time, Will.
Oh, wow. Oh, you said for the last time again, and it's going to make me sad. I am reading Avatar Legends, the tabletop RPG
Nice.
source book still. I'm making my way through that.
Is it interesting?
It is really interesting. I mean, I love that show. It's again, just some really solid storytelling.
Yeah.
And I'm reading through that right now, and I've been rewatching Naruto.
You
recently.
said
I
that,
mentioned
yeah.
It's a good, you know, heartwarming. It's nostalgic, but also it's aspirational because it's very much like I'm gonna be the best and I'm gonna work hard to get there. So like it just was scratching an itch for me. I'm pretty close to the end now, though.
Yeah.
I'm almost all the way through Shippuden. For anybody that knows the series, they know I am flying through things. I'm on the fifth Great Ninja War, whichever number it is, I can't remember. But I'm on the Great Ninja War. It's happening.
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
But I'm pretty close to the end. But it's been very exciting. It is interesting just because like I was thinking through like the Alpha and Omega, and for a second I was like, yes, of course. Like, what would Naruto and Sasuke be? I'm sure that pairing is out there.
Oh, it's.
I bet.
I believe it.
It is.
I fully believe it. But yeah, that's what I've been
Nice.
reading and watching.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jessica.
It's just
As I already mentioned, I am gonna do the Crescent City audiobook.
I'm so fucking excited.
Once I get over the names,
Hell yeah.
I'm one chapter into the Crescent City audiobook.
Out of our group of friends, only one other person has finished it now, and I broed out hardcore over this. So I cannot wait until our full group reads it because it's amazing.
I'll get there. I'll get there. As I've been told by you and several others that I just need to get through
The first 100 pages.
100 pages of world building because apparently
It's a lot.
As I'm experiencing already, it is dense. It's a lot of and blah 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 from the nation of da da da, which was at war with so and so,
But not anymore,
but
because now
not
they're friends with
anymore.
Bebop.
And now so and so comes in, who's a duh, which is a it's a lot.
Got it.
but we'll get there. And then I'm rereading War Paint by Provocative Envy, which is one of the more popular Hermione fanfics. I recommended it to Emily, and that made me go, I should reread this for the 4th time. So I'm rereading. Are you did you dip your toe into Hermione at all?
Not yet.
Okay. It's fine.
Is that
I'll
Tonks
give it
and
a-
Hermione?
No, that is Tom
Sorry.
Riddle.
Oh,
and
that
Hermione.
makes more sense.
Yep. It is dark, and it is a fun niche pairing. Hey, Emily.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, Emily.
What are you reading?
Sorry, is there a narwhal in here?
Look, I only had one more chance to do it, so I had to.
Proud of you, babe. So I read the second to last book in the whole Knightsbridge series called Sinful Princess by Tracy Lorraine. Love it. Stan Tracy Lorraine. Also, I have filled my Kindle because it was a Stuff Your Kindle Day, which is something I just learned about. I cannot remember the name of the website. It's called like romancebooks.com or whatever, but they had a whole list. And it was categorized by like romantic suspense, fantasy,
fun.
and it was all the free stuff. Or like there's some that are like still free, but it was one day where all of these authors just put all their books on like free.
Nice.
And some of them were already on Kindle Unlimited too. So if you have that, it automatically adds that. But
Cool.
I got like 4 new books that I'm ready for, and then I also downloaded 2 fanfics. And so I am currently rereading Our Games We Play.
Oh, that's
which is a Dramini one, which I did read on Friday, and now I am rereading it. And
Great.
it is a Wednesday, so just so everyone knows.
Nice.
And there's a sequel to it, and the sequel's so good.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
I love that you've been rereading Dramini fanfics too.
it's
at
really
this point.
good writing.
Right?
Except the spelling, not so
Spelling not
great.
so good, but the writing
The
is
writing
excellent.
fantastic. And I'm sorry, I do not know who wrote that right now, but we can put that on the link tree. So that's what we're all reading.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we done did the Omegaverse.
I'm a little sad that this is the last.
I'm a lot sad.
Yeah.
Regular
honestly.
episode.
Yeah, the last Will trope episode.
You were so fun to have as a guest, and you really challenged us on like at least a handful of these tropes.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was fun.
And we'll probably give you a more sentimental send off next time. But like, we love you very much, and you're wonderful.
Oh, I love y'all. It's really been a pleasure and a
Yeah.
joy. I know I'll get more into it next time because I don't want to get too sappy this time. And, we don't need to cry 2 recordings.
Are you
Next
gonna
time
cry?
it'll just be
Oh my
us
God.
crying the whole time.
Well,
It'll
let's
be
see how
really
much-
interesting to listen to.
Let's see how much we drink.
Yeah, we'll drink and cry. But yeah, tune in to the next episode for our finale. We're gonna play some games.
Yep.
We're gonna recap the season. Will is gonna surprise us.
Got a surprise.
Maybe we'll have a surprise for you. Who
Maybe.
knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe we
Wow,
can
all
surprise each other.
We love surprise. All right. Well, bye.
Bye. Femmes Reading Filth is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Barusian and Jessica Mall. Intro music by Tom Lehrer. Outro music by David Reddick. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Femmes Reading Filth. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.